You know, I stopped training altogether when I got hired. Well,
Right.
I was doing a little bit of
bit.
residual, like with a couple
clients.
clients I still had, and then they made that move over to West White Oaks, and I was there very briefly, with a couple clients, and just focused on fire after those last two clients kind of were done, and then was after about 9 months of being on the fire department, I was on a conference in Champaign with a couple of firefighters, and one of them owns Rhino Works, Canyon Rhino Burger.
Shout out.
Him and his brother are Rhino Works,
Zach.
and they had like a warehouse. They have like a warehouse type style gym.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking to him probably about like, I kind of, I've been thinking I want to start my business up, do this, do that. And he's like, why don't you just come over to my place? I'll just, I got all the equipment over there. And I was like, dang, that sounds like a great idea. I'll go check it out. They had just opened that May, and this was like August or September. So we launched Washko Strength and Speed October 1st, 2016.
Wow.
So I just contacted a few high school kids that I think maybe had coached. I think I had coached them in the summer.
Yeah.
I was like, you're playing in college now. How do you feel about coming and working out with me?
That's so cool. This is where it started.
Yeah, I used to train. Like, I trained back in the day, and maybe a couple of them might have been my former clients at Body Symmetry. I can't remember really. Yeah. So just started there. They had all the equipment. And we grew from there. Now we have coaches, and
so cool.
It's a crazy.
I love it, man. I know I already talked about it, but I'm so proud of you for doing this. Like it's hard. It's such a cutthroat business, and you see so many places like these open and then they're gone. Within a year or two, and it speaks to you and what you've created here, and all these guys and what they said. So, man, good on you for creating something really special, not only for yourself and your family, but for the community here. I mean, like, this is a thing now. It's a pillar. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, for sure. Considering 9 years ago you were like, hey, I want to come train with me. Like, it just is so good. Right?
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy too is actually like my two head coaches that I have, Devin Thomas and Pete Sandlin. So Pete was
Devin. He was a good baseball player.
Yeah, he was.
SHG.
So I coached him on the
Quincy.
Yeah. So I coached
center fielder.
Yeah, outfielder. Yep.
I remember watching him.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
And he came back to train with me when I opened up at Rhino, and I think he was either going to Quincy that next year or he was at Quincy already. Worked out with me a little bit, and then he's a physical therapist now.
Cool. So
he is one of my head coaches, and then Pete Sandlin is one of my other head coaches. Pete was one of my like OGs, like he was the OG.
Yeah.
He actually worked out with me at LRS when I was at Body Symmetry. I was just doing a little cash side deal. Over at LRS. He was like 13, and now he's been with me the longest out of all my coaches. But him and Dev have been with me for, I don't know, 3 and 4 years respectively, something like that, which is a long time in this business.
For sure.
As just a head coach and not like an owner,
Absolutely.
So they really, shout out to them, because they are really the engine behind this entire deal. Them being able to cover, I mean, I can go out of town like I just did to spring.
Guys that you trust,
for a week, and obviously I'm texting them about things like, hey, this person's new, make sure you pay attention to that. But I don't have to monitor the ins and outs.
Beautiful.
They can facilitate. They're just a shadow of me, is what I tell clientele. Like, you're not going to see my face every day.
Yeah.
I have this and that going on, but I still try to be the face.
Sure.
But they're my programs still, but they know how to modify, facilitate.
Yeah. That's so cool.
If they need to. Yeah. So it'll be a dark day in Washko Strength and Speed history when I lose those two.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't know Devin was with you. I remember watching him many years ago at high school and being like, that guy just moves well. I thought he was a good athlete. Yeah. I was really curious to see what his career ended up being. He went to Quincy, did okay there?
Quincy, I don't remember how many years he played.
Okay.
A couple years maybe.
Tell me a little bit about your credentials in strength and conditioning, kind of what.
So it started with CPT, which is just the Certified Personal Trainer.
Yep.
It was ACSM.
And that's a really hard one.
Yeah, that was just like, I think Chad that told us like.
Yeah, get this.
Standard.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was what our curriculum was based off of at ISU. Actually.
Oh, perfect. So kind of lined up.
Yeah. Already. That was the gold standard. It wasn't like an online deal. It was like, you got to sit for this test and really study for it.
Yeah.
So that's where that started, just to make sure I got something under my belt.
Yeah.
And then the
CSCS.
was a big one.
Yeah, that's the gold standard. If you guys don't know, certified strength and conditioning specialist, that's what every college strength coach at a minimum has to have. That's like, you got to have it.
Yeah, and that I started that process when I was with Chad as well. He helped me study a little bit for it, giving us the resources and stuff. It's such an old school organization. I don't know if it's still I assume it still is, but still big, heavy, fat lifting, strong guys that run that board. I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of outdated information.
I remember taking a test and I was like,
I don't agree with this, but I'm going to answer it this way because I know, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
So outdated, but it's the gold standard.
You got to have it.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It took me 2 tries. And I think I barely passed it my second time. The fail rate on that's like 70%.
It's hard.
Yeah. Time. I mean, and I'm not a good test taker to begin with. So that was jubilation when I got that certification sheet in the mail.
Yeah.
And now you just got to keep up with it. You still got to spend money.
CUs and all that.
Years, I believe. It's like, put it off. And then like November rolls around and I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell me what all does Washko Strength and Speed offer? I mean, I know you got arm care stuff. Are there sprint programs, bat speed, overall strength? Like what all would you say you do?
Yeah. In a nutshell, outside of just the regular, memberships, the strength programs, our annual cycle of like camps and stuff, we obviously have the arm care program, which is growing as far as our philosophies and stuff, and how in depth we get with it. And a big part of that this year was adding Cam Edmondson to the crew. Cam is one of my longtime guys, huge success story from where he came from, and he is pitching in indie ball right now.
Yeah.
Which is not it has no slouch these days, especially with 20 rounds.
Absolutely right.
Dudes.
Right. There used to be 50 plus rounds to get into affiliated baseball. Now there's 20 for you guys that don't know.
Yeah. So a lot of those dudes who used to get drafted
are in indie ball now. Yeah, they got to work their way into affiliated.
Yeah, and so a lot of competition. I watched some of his games, but he's throwing out in Ogden, Utah for the Raptors. And I think his plan is to go out there again, but I think he's got some showing out to do. He's actually today, he texted me, he's out and he's at his alma mater, Indiana State, carving up those dudes.
Yeah.
I think he carved up Illinois State a couple weeks ago, he said.
Really?
Yeah, he's just showing out. I think probably getting video and stuff. And I think he's got Diamondbacks maybe try out in a couple weeks. But yeah, they experiment out there with those indie balls. You ever heard of that? Like, so they gave them a bigger baseball last year.
I did not know that. Really?
And again this year, but it was a bigger baseball.
Really?
So I don't know, half of a centimeter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they experimented in this particular league with a bigger baseball.
Really?
Yeah. So
with the thought process being what?
Okay. I think they're trying to figure out. Probably it's all MLB related.
Right. They're doing all this.
Doing the safety base.
Yep. Oh, I hate that safety base.
Yeah. So they use these guys as pawns.
Yeah.
And obviously a pitcher. That's a big deal. They were experiment with a slightly bigger ball. So yeah, anyway, I got off track, but that him and the arm care deal this year, I basically just took a huge step back. I'm usually there kind of overseeing everything. I don't like missing.
Yeah.
They go late at night, so it's tough for me to be there anyway. And he just kind of, I gave him the reins and he just took off with it. And he taught himself to do, he's one of those self-taught guys as far as how hard he throws.
Okay.
How he spins it, how he pitches, being actually a really good pitcher, not just a thrower. I have a couple guys like that I can think of that just were like self-taught.
Yeah.
So him being able to run that was huge because he can troubleshoot with those kids. And we've got some guys throwing really well this year so far that were in that arm care program. Outside of arm care, we have like speed camps that we run. We run 2 speed camps a year.
Yeah.
Summer speed camp's a big one for us. And then the winter is just slightly smaller. We started a plyometric camp in the fall leading into basketball season. This past year, those have been really popular. I'm not a huge camp guy. I never was. I was like, I don't want to do camps because I want kids to, it's a commitment. I don't want to promise you anything out of a little camp.
Right.
But what we kind of learned was like, this is the best way to introduce kids to the weight room and get comfortable.
Okay.
Because we won't just like jump and we won't just like run. They're going to learn how to squat. So we sprinkle that stuff in there.
Yeah.
Not that and it is important, obviously, for jumping and for sprinting, being strong. So we'll sprinkle that stuff in. We've become camp people now. So, so those are usually a pretty big hit. And And then, as far as like, what else did you say? Bat speed. Yeah, I mean, we offer a ton of prehab stuff, rehab. I guess we would call it prehab. Yeah, like knowing each individual and their injury history,
right?
Making sure we're staying on the right track.
Developing plans that prevent them from
just
running into injuries.
Too.
Sure.
And then we've got the recovery room now, which is huge for us.
Yeah, tell me about that. It's new, right?
Yeah, the recovery room.
Some cool stuff in there. I kind of looked around a little bit when I got here.
Yeah, and it's kind of a mess right now with the flux that we're in the building. But it's kind of just like a lounge, like throw a TV up. We've got the cold plunge in there.
Yeah.
The portable sauna.
That's cool.
Bought some furniture.
Yeah.
And kind of like a little kitchenette in there so they can come in. And we have a fridge in there, so they have like a nutrition allowance now. They can go in. You can get one thing a day. If you want more beyond that, you just got to pay for it. So it's just part of their membership now. And really just trying to kind of like what I talked about with those college and the pro guys that come in. Like I want them to be here like for an extended period of time. I don't want you to just feel like you can come in or you have to come in, get your workout and leave.
Go, right.
Like, let's go into the recovery room. So obviously more catered towards the older athletes.
Yeah.
The guys with muscle mass and that need those recovery tools. We've got massage guns. The cupping things have been pretty popular.
Oh, cool.
It's like automatic cuppers. So it's like you just put the oil on your skin wherever you're, feeling sore or having issues with, and then put those cuppings on, and they really do the job. I used them before anybody else did.
Big believer in those?
I wouldn't say I'm a big. It's like I had to dip my toe in because I've never done cupping.
Yeah.
So it was like it's more of like it's another option for these guys, and a lot of stuff in this realm can be placebo. Like
that's the truth. Yeah, absolutely.
But I've come to love having a routine in there, and I think
K-tape
keeps you focused.
Yeah.
So like when I'm most focused in here throughout the winter, I was in a routine of where I'd come in the morning, I'd plunge for 3 minutes, sauna for 15, and then could be massage gun, sit in a chair and watch Sports Center or whatever, massage gun, cupping. That's when I was at my best and my most mobile.
Yeah.
And my mind was right. So it's like, for these guys, it's like, and I talk about routines a lot with these guys, like find your routine.
Ooh, I love that.
Because when you stick to it, whether it's placebo or not, whether it's doing anything for you, having that routine with these guys, especially like my pitchers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like Sam and these guys, the pro guys, Sam and Ben would talk about like routines, like
great comfortability.
It for me, it keeps my mind, that file cabinet in my mind completely organized.
Oh, well said. Love that.
Just being like, I don't know, like there's something to be said for the brain and what it can do, for your performance, having those files not spread out all over the place.
Yeah.
I think that recovery room was huge for that. And so I'm open to anything. Like guys will just say something like, I've seen about this. I'd really like that in there,
Yeah.
And so I'll just be like, oh, okay. I'm on a budget. But it's like, I'll go grab something. So, and the cupping tools kind of came out and they were on a sale or something, Black Friday or something. So I was like, I'll grab 4 of these. And the guys like them. So it's like, if they think it's doing something for them,
sure,
whether it is or not, obviously I'm sure there's plenty of studies behind cupping, but yeah.
Speaking of, I can't help but reminded of this. I remember you sent me a text. I can't remember what it was from it. You sent me a text about fighting necklaces, and it just made me think of that because you were talking about placebo and whatnot. Are we bringing fighting necklaces back? I told you I want to bring them back. I miss them. I know they don't do anything, but I can remember when Justin Knadler came back from spring training one year. They had just come out. Like nobody even knew what they were yet. He was like, I was like his little flunky or whatever, and he was like, "Here, man, have one." And I legit felt like when I put it on, I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. I know something's different, Like I believed it. I truly believed it, and I probably hit better because I believed I had a fighting on. Isn't that funny? The placebo effect is what reminded me of that.
The brain is a magnificent thing for performance. But yeah, I wore fighting. I remember when I started at SCI, I had a
purple one?
Double purple and black.
The double tornado.
Yeah. Like, dude, this is
so sick. We need to bring those back. I mean, all the travel ball kids are extra swaggy and drippy, aren't they? Got all kinds of stuff like
sleeves, leg sleeves.
Let's go fighting, bring it back.
Ice cream brand, whatever they call it.
Oh yeah. All right, tell me about. Everyone spoke about this, and maybe you've already feel like you've answered it, but tell me about the culture that you've created here. You guys keep calling it a family. It's beautiful. I'd love to hear if you have any more thoughts on it.
So, culture was big to me especially when I first got into my own space. Like, like I kind of talked about, I like guys to hang around. Like you don't just have to come in and go out.
Yeah.
And that's what creates that culture, making those athletes feel like they can stick around. And then obviously bringing my kids in, again, not intentionally. It just kind of worked out that way where I have to have my kids sometimes. And that created that culture where they're like, this isn't that serious. Obviously we're working hard, and I don't allow, like, I don't allow guys, like Sam said, to just walk around and do nothing.
Yeah.
Those guys don't last long. So it can't just be that you're here. You have to work hard. But also sometimes it can be that this is part of your routine where you're here for 3 hours maybe.
Yeah.
So I think that helped build that culture where, I'm constantly trying to evolve and adapt. So like the recovery room was a huge evolution for us where, I just don't like being complacent. So every new year, once the new year is about to hit and I start thinking about the next year, I'm asking myself, what can we do? And it may not have to cost a lot of money. Sometimes it does, but what's that next step that we can take? I don't really think about it all year, unless something comes to my mind and I'll write it down. But usually it's like end of year. It's almost like ritualistic for me. Like and I talk to my wife a lot about it. Like it could just be a software change, like something that makes it easier on parents, clientele. Gets people excited. The recovery room got people excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Started that in December.
That's cool.
And it came about quick. But yeah, just knowing each individual athlete, what makes them tick. And, some of these kids, they're brand new in here. I don't really know much about them yet. Haven't seen them much, but, there's different tiers of membership where some of these guys have been with me for so long and I know them so well. I know exactly what makes them tick. And they're part of that, that group that I would just call my guys.
Yeah. Your guys.
And it's nothing against anyone else because a lot of them are in the process of becoming my guys.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So so I'll look at like, a 14-year-old who maybe's been with me since 12, and it's like, you're still a kid, like, but I'm like, I could see that guy being someone I travel across the country to watch play baseball.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it's not just baseball players. Like I've got guys that are my guys that are basketball players that I'll go 45, 60 minutes on a weeknight in the middle of winter when it's already dark and my kids are probably going to bed soon, and I'll try to catch a basketball game.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, where I think that builds that culture.
Yeah, it's special.
Showing that if I'm going to watch you play, I'm making an effort to go watch you play.
It's a big investment.
Well, yeah, it doesn't feel like much, but to me it takes planning.
It means a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because I have the gym, I have kids and activities, I have kids with medical stuff.
It's a big effort.
Yeah, and it's a big ask of my wife, too.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like, hey, I need to and if I don't put it in the calendar, I can't go. It's like, it has to be in the calendar.
Right.
So it's like, even if I'm just hopping over to SHG to the turf, which is 2 or 3 minutes from my house, maybe.
Yeah.
It still takes planning. So if I'm making that effort, to go see it, know that I want to be there, but also it just means that, you're a part of that family now.
I love
Nothing against the people I can't go watch see or I haven't yet. It's like they're probably all in the process because these guys will age out and the next wave comes in. So, yeah.
Beautiful. And I know like you might see some questions kind of disappear on here. He's got his questions in front of him because if you have already answered it or we've talked about it, I'm just going to skip it. Yeah. So cool. What all age groups? I mean, obviously you work with up to pro level guys. What is the youngest age group that you think it makes sense to start with?
So what I like to tell people is kind of when around 8 or 9, I can do things that can help them, but I can't take every 8 and 9-year-old.
Yeah,
it just depends. So a lot of times, if they have an older sibling in here, that works out really well because typically, like a younger sibling might be a little bit more have more etiquette, like in here, and be able to like. Oh yeah, I watched my brother do this.
They know what's going on to a degree.
Yeah, but I usually say by 10, I can take pretty much any 10-year-old.
Gotcha. Okay.
And do good things and help them. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with muscle mass.
Right.
It's everything to do with moving properly.
Yeah. Right. You're not having a 10-year-old, strap on 200 pounds on their back or anything like that. Right.
Usually they'll come in and be like, he's so slow. Or she's so slow.
Yeah.
We need her to be faster. We need to be faster. that's usually the first thing that everybody wants, right? You want your kid to be faster. So, obviously muscle mass, genetics, a lot of that stuff plays a role, especially when kids are young. Like how fast a kid is pretty much pure genetics.
Yeah.
Like almost, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
But it doesn't mean we can't start to build that foundation of them moving properly.
Yeah. Well said.
To do mechanical things that can groove a pattern.
Ooh, I love that. Groove the pattern. Yeah.
So grooving patterns, because they don't need puberty for that. But what we see is like when we build that base, when human nature, or when Mother Nature takes its hold, or whatever you want to call it, human nature, puberty. If we built that base, we get that really nice transition, because now we've taken stimulus, now we've got hormones, and sky's the limit for those kids.
I love that, man. Wait a second. Test. Okay, my volume's going a little high here. No big deal. We'll carry on. I'd love to see, how rewarding is it to you to see, like, these young athletes come in and just like transform?
Yeah. So like, kind of what I talked about, like with the puberty thing, kind of watching these kids, like they start, as young kids, some of them do. And then to see that huge moment where they come in after they were maybe gone for a summer or a season, and they come back and nature has done its thing, and it's like we see those huge popping numbers. That's super. That's where I get a lot of inspiration. So seeing them hit numbers, hit their metrics, hit personal records, that's huge for me, because it delivers new inspiration to me. So
love that.
Yeah, and that's why we started the whole metric thing, was to inspire them, but also it inspires me a bit too.
How much responsibility do you feel about motivating these guys, these athletes that come in,
Yeah. It's a tough thing with some of them, but most of the time I'm pretty lucky that if these kids come in, they're making that effort and they stick with it. Typically, they're going to be pretty easy to motivate.
Yeah.
They're self-motivated. Where it doesn't work out is if mom or dad is pushing you in here behind. It just not in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was big on that. Like I don't want to train the kid one-on-one that doesn't want to be there. And so that's why we had to move away. We were forced out of the one-on-one, one-on-three type of deal, just because of how busy we got.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being the best thing, just this environment that we've got now, where waves of kids are coming in and doing their own programs. But yeah, I think one of the guys said it earlier, like, I'm not a yeller or a screamer.
Right.
So if you're looking for that, I'm not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to be pushed, which there are guys that have left me and gone somewhere else because they needed that huge push, where they weren't going to show up unless someone was
yelling at them.
Like, hey, where are you? Are you coming? Like, that's not my deal. Like, if I don't see a guy for a while, I'll be like, I'll have to check in and be like, what's going on? But it's not my deal. Like, I'm not a drill sergeant. And so the kids that are here like the way I am. Like, it's, if you're walking around, I'm going to give you a little bit of shit. And if you're not doing anything. And so I might call you out a little bit if you're a little bit older and I know you can handle it. But my younger kids, like, I'll push a little bit, kind of nudging them, but there's going to be no yelling and screaming. I just don't, that's not the environment I foster. It's just not who I am.
I love that. And I agree with that. I don't think that's a great motivator. It's old school, kind of antiquated.
Yeah. And for some guys it works. And that's what some of those athletes need. It's just not, I just can't be someone I'm not. It's just, it's kind of like the way I parent. Like I tell my wife, I was just like, that's just not who I am.
Yeah. I don't know if this question is applicable, but I wanted to know, how do you feel like you go about building trust with these guys? All these guys seem like, they inherently trust you, with their careers.
Yeah, I think kind of cliche, but just like showing interest in their personal life, their personal endeavors, school. Easy thing is talking about sports with them, teams, whatever. Showing an interest that kind of shows that I'm not a robot coach. Like, so talking about pretty much anything other than what they're actually doing in here.
Yeah.
And then just touching on it, like, I tell kids, like, if I'm not talking to you, that's not a good sign. It's kind of like the old coach thing.
Yeah.
If I ignore you,
Right.
it's
Not a good sign. Yeah.
It's not good. So I try not to ignore anybody, but the more interest I'm showing in you, in your lifts or your sport endeavors, like the better. So understand that, and I think that's probably where a lot of trust hopefully is built.
Yeah, I love that. What are you getting out of this? Like, what lights you up about this?
Yeah, good question. I think it's just my going back to my own career, and it didn't happen overnight in here, but yeah, it almost just feels like what I was called to do.
Oh, I love that.
That's cool. Like visions, so like I envisioned this long ago. So especially like it's almost like it's kind of a motivator for like that I can use for other people. It's like if you draw it up in your head. So me, like I'm big on like when I take long drives, like I drew this up in my head years ago.
Thoughts become things, man.
They do. I mean, and you just have to take that leap. So some things take longer than others to happen. Like,
yeah.
I wonder if I'll ever have baseball in cages at the same place that I have my gym.
That's so cool. And now we're sitting here.
Yeah, I drew that up years ago. And now I joined.
Beautiful.
But that was the second best thing. And now hopefully we're going to do the
And now it's your shebang.
But it was still, I wanted that in the same facility. I mean, having my own place, I know it first started as like a vision where I envisioned I had an office and, I had a little gym, a really small gym. My dogs were running around, and then eventually my kids, stuff like that. I can remember drawing that up. I mean, I think I told Chad originally, I was like, he's like, where do you see yourself going? And I told him like day one, I was like, I'm going to open my own place.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
You manifested it, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, manifest. So there's the word I'm looking for.
There it is.
I'm big on manifesting.
Me too.
Like anything in my life, like I've just learned that kind of manifesting something and it becomes a reality, which was never a part of my career like that. Like I never manifested myself throwing strikes.
Maybe you should have. Yeah, right? Right?
Maybe I would have stopped hitting everybody with my changeup. But yeah, like manifested, and I don't even know if I answered the question, but
you did.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Good enough answer for me. Are there any strength and conditioning books that are meaningful to you?
This is not a very popular answer. Strength and conditioning books bore me. They really do.
It's fine.
I'll pick one up. The only one I've ever found interest in is like a method. So triphasic.
Yeah. Cal Dietz, the man, Minnesota.
Yeah, it's the only one I've ever even like, somewhat gotten through and actually pulled something from.
Parts of it are pretty dry.
Yeah. But it's like, gosh, I remember picking up like the supple leopard.
Have that.
It's like, oh my God, this is so boring.
Right.
I would rather pull little snippets from, and now we're lucky we can follow guys on social media and get snippets and really get guys' philosophies from their social medias. But I would rather read, like I read books like, and I'm not as good as I used to be, but I still have a book that I'm dedicated to. Like I just finished Unbroken. And now I'm moving on to the same genre, The Forgotten 500, which is another like World War II. I'm big on stuff that I'm not well versed on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So like I'm not a big history buff. And so it's like, I want to expand that knowledge.
I respect that.
It's going to call my attention.
For sure.
But it's not strength and conditioning. It's like, I can't read a strength and conditioning. I just can't. I can like skim it and look for something. But,
I agree.
But Cal Dietz is the only one that I've ever.
That's a great one, and I didn't even like I've mostly just seen videos of what you're doing program wise, and it's cool. Like I didn't realize you were doing triphasic until Max was talked about eccentric stuff, and then I messaged you and I was like, "Is this a triphasic?" So for you guys that don't know triphasic, Cal Dietz, Minnesota strength coach for many years, he focuses on the eccentric, the isometric, and the concentric. And they're all trained in kind of different parameters, but really cool that you're doing that. I think it's super high level stuff and applicable to athletes. So awesome that you're running that. Beautiful, man. Tell me about how you set up your speed work and like what kind of tools you guys are using and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I had a lot of thoughts on that. So really, it's pretty basic at first. So like, I'm a big believer in like where's each athlete starting? So like. Family comes in or dad comes in with a kid and is like, he's 11, but he's heavy footed. He's got a piano on his back. He needs to be faster.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to look like speed work at first. It's like we got to get him to the trap bar and get it. He might not be even ready for the trap bar.
Yeah.
It may be goblet squats for a while. It just depends how good of a mover he is. All of that, what we're doing at first is building that base for speed work, and just learning that stimulus alone, even a double-footed, stance, which is just a goblet squat, could, in a sense, make him faster. And then it's progressional. Everything's progressional with me. So, and then we can so once we get that strength base, we can kind of move to mechanics and just lifting, getting into the trap bar.
Yeah.
Trap bar, I'm a big believer, and we will start to see metrics jump. Once I can get them to the trap bar safely and we can start to add that stimulus, I will see vertical jump go up.
Yeah. There it is.
20-yard flag come down.
Yeah.
No doubt. It happens with everybody. It's nothing scientific that we're doing. It's just the way it is. And then we'll add variables like resistance. So again, the pre-pubescent versus post-pubescent. With the post-pubescent kids, we can really dive into that triphasic stuff. So, starting with building a base and then moving to the eccentrics, which is just slow movement on the way down, and then firing up. And then isometrics, and then going back into a concentric phase. And then I'm big on like the power phase. I don't know if I consider that triphasic or not, but it's like, I guess
I'm sure you've probably taken bits and pieces of lots of things you've learned along the way and put them together, right?
So I'm big on speed work. So where I want them peaking, and depending on how long their off season is, we may peak twice.
Yeah.
It just depends. And I can have a lot of fun with these post-pubescent guys because they're so athletic and they've been lifting, and I tell them, like, I can really play with your program, like, because I can throw anything at you, and they're just gonna be like, yes sir.
Yeah,
I'm game. So with the power phase for me is like leading them into end season. So I like that. I tell like my high school baseball players, I want you peaking March 1st.
Yeah.
Now I also may have them peaking September 1st or October 1st, like wherever their showcase season
right
is.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge showcase guy, but some of these guys need it, and
you gotta do it.
So peak them around that phase, because that's where they need to be powerful.
Makes sense.
So now my college guys, baseball guys, well, we want them to peak again March 1st, but they may not be spending any time with me around that time. So I'll give them programs if they need it for them to peak at that time. But for me, I need them peaking for sure August 15th or September 1st, because what's huge for these JUCO guys, like, because we have a lot of JUCO guys, that fall of their freshman year too, because they're trying to earn a spot, but that fall of their sophomore year is huge for getting looks, like the Puma Classic, all these guys that, it's a huge deal for them to get looks out of JUCO. So I need them peaking at that time too. So we'll use that power phase. We'll lighten the load and just intend. Like I don't have currently any velocity based training tools in here. For me, I kind of tell them, it's like, okay, we could invest in that, and I've been very close to buying, BBT stuff. That you attach to the bar and you get some feedback.
Right.
There's just I feel like it's something that will come in here though and sit 9 months a year, and it's kind of an investment.
Yeah.
So we may do it eventually if enough guys, if I feel like enough guys
it's their need for it. Yeah.
But for my guys that are really, really good at moving the weight, if I tell them move it faster, lighten the load, move it faster, they're going to move it faster.
Yeah.
So it's not something we would really need for those guys. I think it's great for a strength coach out of college, at a university that has unlimited budget. You could have 6 of them on bars and it's going to a spreadsheet automatically or whatever, that's probably awesome for them. But for me in the private sector, not so much. I just tell them to move the bar faster.
Yeah.
So that's where that power stuff comes. And a lot of them eat that up because they're starting to feel it. Like they feel like they're moving the weight faster. Because I think some guys get caught in that, like, just keep adding more weight. Then we need to dial it back.
Yeah.
To be able to dial it back takes discipline, taking weight off the bar, now moving it fast. Because everybody loves, all my strongest guys, they love moving the heavy weights.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's just intent. The weight can still be heavy. It's just what's your intent behind it. And that's what's going to create the muscle fibers to change, because that's ultimately what we want.
Absolutely.
New ones, but making them change.
Adaption. Yeah. And this, you and I have had private conversations about this, and we've laughed some at, sometimes strength guys are maybe too innovative at times, and there's some funny exercises and things that you see guys doing that don't have a lot of, you know,
Don't see.
there's lots of guys that just like try to do stuff to wow people. You know, how do you balance, you know, proven exercises with innovation? You know, some athletes do like new stuff and new challenge and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of creative people that I can pull from, that I take from, that are more innovative than me, more creative than me. But back to the meat and potatoes, like the meat and potatoes will always be the meat and potatoes. I don't think there's going to be much that changes there as far as the core lifts go. But there's something to be said about sprinkling in innovation, especially for like different accommodating resistance, um, assisted exercises versus like everybody. It's easy to think of resisted, but like people adding assisted stuff. I've pulled a lot of stuff from some guys that are smarter than me. And then I think about what sport they're playing. So as far as being innovative, like sometimes when I'm sitting down with a program and this person might work out with me year round, I'm like, God, I gotta switch something up here to get some kind of, maybe it might just be one type of movement that I'm like, man, I've never thrown this at them. I'm going to throw this in now, and maybe this will take them out of this plateau or whatever. Like we haven't seen a PR in a while. So thinking about the equipment that I have, thinking about what movements they do in their sport. And if I sit and close my eyes and I think about their sport and I think about, I sit in my gym, because a lot of times I do my best programming here, like sitting in my gym or in my office, looking out at my gym.
Really?
Like, oh, I have that.
Like you're inspired.
Or, yeah. I can see the movement happening.
Oh.
So some things I'll be like, hey, I threw this on your program. I totally made it up. Like, so here's the name of it.
Yeah.
I made up the name and everything. Now I don't make up all my exercises. Most of it's recycled.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so like a guy that I'll pull a lot of innovative stuff from in conversations with him over the past, and then just from his social media is Dayton Burnett. So local guy.
We know Dayton. We know Dayton well.
Real well. So he's real innovative. He's more creative than I am.
Yeah.
He comes up with this stuff, and I'm like, that's something that I've been trying to think about, but I'm just not creative. Like, and you know, whether it be like he's big on like deceleration type stuff, like it's really like the setup too. Like I'm like, oh, that setup is exactly what I was looking for. It's just like I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shout out to Dayton. He's a fellow Body Sem alum as well. Yeah. There's a bunch of us out there. That's the truth, man. Wait, Connor White too, right?
Connor's my junior.
Yeah. Is he really?
He's my junior.
That's crazy.
Junior, so
yeah. Yeah, we used to joke that Body Symmetry was like the minor leagues for the fire department. Anyway, tell me what does a typical off season look like for a player? Let's just say like a setting up for like a Sandman Anachi. Like how many times are you having him in here ideally? Like what is this like, you know, upper, lower, how many days, stuff like that? Or
So
and now a few words from our sponsors. Thank you. This episode is being brought to you by Eric Easley of the Easley Real Estate Team with the Real Estate Group. This team consists of Eric, Jamie Murphy, and Caitlin Fry. They can be reached at 217-971-3256 or at theeasleysalesteam.com. Eric was a standout quarterback and shortstop at Southeast back in the mid-90s and later starred at Western Illinois in baseball. Also one of the best umpires around this area for many years, teaming up with Bobby Erickson. He sold houses for all kinds of baseball dudes in the area. The Knadler brothers, Justin and Jason, Ryan Murphy, Todd Schneller, the Savota family. And when it was time for Corey to sell his house and buy his new house, there's only one place he went. That's Eric Easley and the Easley Real Estate Team. So go see these guys for all your real estate needs. We really appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Cornerstone Financial Services. This is my good buddy Ryan Kaiser, who has 18 years in the business. They are located at 2001 West Monroe Street, 217-718-4670. This is an absolute baseball family, the Kaiser family. They're Cubs crazy. They're part of the Arsenal family. Ryan specializes in retirement planning, estate planning, is a certified financial planner, and does wealth management. There's over 60 years of experience in that building with other financial services guys. Please go see them for anything you might have in this field. We really appreciate you. Big fan of Ryan Kaiser.
we are also brought to you by Iron Palm Coffee, located at exit 82 right off I-55 for Auburn and Pawnee.
this is a very special guy to me. This is my buddy, John Camp, one of my best friends. He's had this vision of having this coffee spot for years. It's finally, come to fruition, and he's slanging some of the best coffee in Central Illinois. It's a coffee trailer serving up top brewed quality coffee, espressos, lattes, frappes, tea, baked goods, and much more. You can find them on Facebook at Iron Palm Coffee 217, IG or Instagram Iron Palm 217. Seriously, go support this guy. He's a big part of my story. Incredible guy, incredible vision, the best coffee around. Go support him.
We are also brought to you by Christ the King's Men's Club through my good buddy John Chisholm. We came up together playing baseball. We played for the Flame together, Springfield High, and then he went on to play at Spoon River for a little bit. They are selling bourbon raffle tickets right now for $100. You have a 1 in 10 chance to win. The raffle is being held on February the 22nd, 7 p.m. at the Crafted Stag. They have an absolute insane lineup of high-end bourbon for the winners. Contact my good buddy again, John Chisholm, at 217-725-8682 if you're interested. Please go and support these guys. We really appreciate you. Thanks, Christ the King Men's Club.
And we don't do upper-lower splits. I know a lot of strength coaches are big on that. I think it's kind of going away a little bit, but anyway. So a typical, like, that highest level of programming for me is going to be like a 4-day split. Mm-hmm. And that, they may be in here 6 or 7 days, but they're just kind of doing a lot of extra work, or, they may like throw in an extra lift or whatever. Uh-huh. But my programming is going to be with those higher level guys is going to be 4 days. Now that's the highest I go. And some of those guys that come home that are still super high level dudes only want 3 days.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that. Like, what's most ideal for you? Well, I go hit here on this day. I'm going to be traveling some. Okay, well, let's do 3 days. So we'll talk about whether that's 3 or 4 days. The guys that live in here are doing the 4. And then you're taking them through that triphasic stuff. So those guys, like I said, I can really have a lot of fun with their programming.
Yeah.
Some movements I'm recycling from year to year, but most of the time I'm rebuilding that entire program as I prep for them to come home. So as the summer creeps up here, I'll start to talk to guys like, Mitch, who's coming home from college. Like, hey, what are you doing? Are you going? You gonna be here?
Yeah, what's he doing?
Play somewhere? Right. And so then I can start to, and then obviously my high school guys will stick around, and I'll be able to be, I'll start building that program like in May and just kind of do, because I tell these guys it takes so much brain power of mine, like when I'm rebuilding, that I can only do one of those days per day.
Okay.
Because my brain gets toast. It's fried.
Yeah.
Now, my younger kids, it's real easy because I need to stick to the basics with them. That's what's best for them. And so that stuff, that's part of my Rolodex where I can just kind of close my eyes, think about it real easy. And then I just progress that program as they get better. But these older guys, they've seen everything. So a lot more brain power is used when building something for them, because I'm also thinking about, again, low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. Like, what's this guy's low-hanging fruit? Mm-hmm. So where am I going with this program? Is it lining up with when he told me he's going to leave? So he's leaving August 1st.
Yeah.
Another guy might be leaving the 3rd week of August. I have to factor all that in with each guy, how quickly I progress that program, because I just don't want them to miss. I don't want them to leave in the middle of an eccentric.
Right, yeah.
It's like that to me would be like my brain would be scrambled. I cannot have to leave.
Right.
So if they say, hey, team just called me, you're like, Cam could text me and be like, hey, a team just called me. I got to go in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, crap. So I
figure out a way to, taper them down.
Yeah, taper them down. And those guys are getting, the guys that are in here are getting a deload, somewhere in there if they're here for long enough.
Yeah.
But the deload for me is like, who is that athlete? So, those higher level guys, I need to deload.
Right.
So they will just keep going.
Right.
They won't shut it down.
So for those of you guys that don't know, deloading is when you're kind of working with higher loads, maximal moving weights, and eventually your nervous system, your body can get kind of beat up, and you kind of need to take a little step back for a little bit.
You got to be able to use your eyes as a strength coach.
Absolutely,
what
yeah.
They look like when they're walking in here.
Right.
I remember one time I had Sam in that group, because I used to have those guys as like a group workout after school in high school. and they wanted a 4-day split. They were like, let's do 4 days. Like, it was COVID. That's what it was. It was COVID. Nobody was going to school. I mean, we were working out probably like 2 p.m. I mean, it was crazy, weird time. But they were like, let's do 4. I want to come in 4 times. So I gave them 4 days.
Yeah. Was it too much?
Fun with it. And then I watched them walk in one day, and I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
When I see Salmon and Achi walking through the door with his tail between his legs, or whoever it was that kind of sparked me, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So then we taper it back.
Sure.
They were in high school then. So yeah, using my eyes is huge, especially with those guys.
Totally agree.
But yeah, and then going down from there, like my general athlete, 10 to 15, 10 to 16, whatever it is, depending on their goals. Typical week is going to be twice a week, pretty much where everybody starts with me. Occasionally I'll have like a kid who really young, might just go once a week to kind of get their feet wet. But yeah, twice a week programming, really general, especially if they're new to the weight room, really general movements. And I just kind of encourage them and the parents that like, hey, it expands from here. I'm not just going to recycle the same program. I can just look at an exercise like a resisted skater, like a Haydn, so we call them, right? That's going to progress into maybe a depth drop into a Haydn. It's like stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to have them depth dropping, the first program. It's going to be like, everything's a progression.
Yeah, it builds.
A Swiss ball curl, hamstring curl might turn into
a GHR eventually.
Yeah. And, or an old Chad exercise, the Swiss ball triple threat.
The triple threat. Oh yeah, I do remember the triple threat.
Yeah. And the Swiss ball posture. Those are 2 Chad exercises I
absolutely
have today. So, yeah, those are 2 beloved exercises.
Tell me about your thoughts on in-season training. Well, like I always felt like that was murky during my career, and I didn't even know like what was the right answer for my athletes when I was training. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, in-season training, huge, especially for like the post-pubescent athlete. So, kids that are younger, I'm not, I don't harp on it too much with the parents, but typically when they're younger, they actually have more flexibility. Like a 5th grade basketball team isn't going to be doing things maybe not even 6 days a week. Like, it's much more tapered down. So they might have the flexibility to just continue. So some kids will just continue. Now, when we get into junior high, that's where we start to see that huge commitment with the in-season school stuff. So, so that's where I'm kind of like, I start to pitch it to them like, you can leave. It's no big deal. You can come back. But, as they get older, it starts to get more serious. Like, hey, you're going to see a little bit of a dip, if you take. And the big thing is sometimes it's not just 8 weeks they take off. Sometimes it takes them a while to call me back. And it's like 12, 16. Now we're talking, you've
lost a lot of your results. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and you're going to come back and you're going to be frustrated.
Starting over. Yeah.
Because you're kind of starting over. Not that you didn't learn things and stuff that you can take, but if you plan to come back anyway, like, let's just taper down your membership to a once a week, come in here on Sundays and just get a stimulus.
Yeah.
There's so much to be said for that. And that's
just getting a stimulus, which is what a lot of guys need in season, right? Just a stimulus, a little.
And we taper back a bunch of stuff. So we go low volume, high intensity, especially with these, I'm talking more like the post-pubescent kids, high intensity, low volume, and we stick to mostly double leg movements. So it's what I call them. I don't know the proper term, what they should be, but we're not like those in-season high school guys right now are not reverse lunging with a front rack position. They're not doing a bunch of split stance work because I see that as too close to what they're doing in the game as far as sprinting and stuff.
Okay.
We're also not really rotating. We might do anti-rotation, but we're not going to rotate hard. Some guys might.
Because they're already getting so much of that, you don't want to aggravate their bodies.
Hard.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is a strained oblique.
Right. From too much rotation. Interesting.
So we'll go to double leg and I just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And they just need that external stimuli. Mainly the core lift of the day is what's going to give them what they need. So
I love that. When you first get an athlete in here, what kind of screening are you doing to get a feel for like how they move and what deficiencies they might have and stuff like that?
Yeah. It's not we don't do like a full blown, functional movement screen. It's just not applicable for most of my kids that come in, like your average athlete that comes in, that's 12, 13, 14 years old.
Right.
So the big thing for me is like, what I want that evaluation to be is like getting to know them, making them comfortable in my environment, because it can be, if you get thrown into the fire here, you show up your first day and I give you a program, that's not going to be a great start for a kid that's, your average kid that's just kind of shy
Yeah.
or so bringing them in, letting them see actually how the flow of the gym works. Like I'll bring them in for an eval while I have other clientele here.
Yeah.
So they can kind of see how it works.
I like that.
So it's kind of an orientation, if you will, for them and for me. Because I could take a 10-year-old, dad could call me about him, and I could probably make a program for him based off what he tells me.
Yeah.
But for me, the big thing is bringing him in, making them comfortable. I get to know them, put a face to them, and then I can, talk to them about, have they ever lifted before? Have they ever touched a weight before? So I'll put dumbbells in their hands, make sure they're comfortable with them, because safety-wise, I'm not watching their every single movement.
Sure.
So making sure they're not going to drop a dumbbell on their face is important to me. And then the safety thing for me, going through the safety issues in here that I've seen over the last 10 years of where has somebody gotten hurt. Typically, if somebody's ever gotten hurt in my gym, that's become part of my safety protocol.
Really?
Yeah, like the landmine is part of it. A bar into a corner, if you will, usually a sleeve. Weights that could fall, get shaken off, and fall on their foot. Box jumps, proper way to box jump, or at least the way we do box jumps, which is the old approach method.
Oh yeah.
We still use that.
I love that.
Not a whole lot of standing and jumping.
I always just felt like that felt more athletic to me.
Yeah, it is. Athletic movement. You're gathering your power into a step. So like my volleyball players, I have a ton of volleyball players. I just kind of joke with them. I'm like, this is gonna be really easy for you. Because it's an approach, right? They approach differently, like with their opposite foot.
Yeah.
To learn that with volleyball players, like they step when they're going up to swing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like me and you, I go left. Right,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
If you're a righty and you're an outside hitter or whatever you're doing, blocking, hitting,
they do it opposite.
They go right, left.
Interesting.
Because now you go right, left, and then that opens up.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's kind
of
because my wife kind of shot me on that, or she corrected me on that. I was like, these girls are jumping the wrong way. When I first started with some volleyball players.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, they're not. I was like, no, the athletic way is left, right. Like if you're a righty.
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's right, left.
This is a volleyball thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I did it myself and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You try to go left, right, and then swing your right. It's good. It's going to feel wonky.
I feel like I got to try that after I leave here.
Without turning away from it.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, I'll look at their squat pattern when they come in. Mm-hmm. So that's big with me. I can learn so much about an athlete just watching them.
Sure.
Take a goblet, take a dumbbell, hold it at chin level and squat.
Yeah.
And then I just say, show me 10 squats, what you think a squat looks like.
Hips, knees, ankles, thoracic mobility, like lats. There's so many things.
Probably done it in PE maybe or something.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, just show me a squat. What's a squat look like to you? And then I'm like, okay, now let's just correct it one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And then you got to learn what cues work for them. I'm big on cues, especially with younger kids. And I love a good project, like on a squatter, like where it's like, oh, everything is wrong. So
I agree, man.
As a strength coach.
Yeah, it makes you grow.
Ooh, this is going to be fun.
How do I solve this riddle?
It
right.
Be fun for you. But it's going to be fun for me because I'm going to solve every little thing.
And that it's cool, building the right cue that makes sense to them. Like something, okay, hips back or something, or rip the floor or like something that works for them and finding that right thing. I always love that as a strength coach.
It's like, I call it grab the floor, spread the floor, butt back.
Yep. So
those are like my three main ones. And then you might
I get that. Absolutely. I like that. Yeah.
Learning how to tilt the pelvis each way. I'll be like, because everybody's different. I don't need to tilt my pelvis at all because I sit more in like me and you probably sit more in an anterior tilt.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids sit in a posterior tilt.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, hey, you're different and that's okay. But I need you to kind of think about tilting your pelvis in the anterior way because you're so posterior tilt. So, a good project is always, it helps us stay sharp as a strength coach.
This is off the cuff question here, so you're gonna have to answer it off your head. You obviously I've seen tons of videos of really strong young female athletes in here as well. We were just talking about Rosie Bartletti and differences. Do you think are there differences in terms of training men versus women? These young athletes. Are there anything that's glaring? Like,
yeah, I think a couple things come to mind. So when female and male athletes peak, especially with like speed. So what I see a lot of times is females will peak at a younger age than males. So you have to keep them. You have to think about their low hanging fruit quicker with female athletes. So and I don't want to give any examples, but like, you'll have a girl that peaked with her speed and she's frustrated because she cannot surpass that time.
Yeah.
Or cannot beat that time. And so we have to work a little harder. And it could just be like with men, with the boys, we have testosterone. So that's that huge driving force.
Yeah.
And so the girls, we got to think a little bit more outside the box. So, I think training them totally different with like accommodating resistance. I just try things until we hit that mark, and then we start to find like, okay, this might be her thing. She needs this. She might need resisted sprints where somebody else might need overspeed sprints.
Yeah.
Like, assisted, like somebody dragging them, or sled sprints. Like maybe mechanically we can make a fine tweak, where she's doing something with her feet that isn't super optimal. I think the big frustrating thing is that females peak earlier and then we have trouble gaining speed after that. And I think it's just human nature. It's hormone driven, and then, can't remember what else I was going to say. Oh, well, a big thing is like, what are we tracking? So with men, there's usually no sensitivity with my high level guys, like on weight, like, you need to gain weight, or I think you need to trim.
Oh, interesting.
Like, so my females, obviously you gotta be real careful with that. Like,
yeah,
we don't talk about weight typically.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Unless they bring it up to me.
Sure.
They bring it up to me. That's cool. And I have some girls they're just super comfortable with themselves, and that's fine. Like, and then we'll talk about it.
Right.
But you got to be careful there. It's just like,
you don't want to tell a high school girl you got to gain 10 pounds. That might be a
gain or lose. Like,
sure. Oh, you wouldn't want to tell me you want to lose. Yeah, that would be.
I don't even like
problematic. Yeah.
Again, they're just so different. Men, the guys in here, I can just have them eat,
Yeah.
And like they're trying to eke out like 3 more pounds.
Yeah.
That feels like a dangerous game to play. With
I had never thought about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. And
I have a scale in here, but I'm not like, hop on the scale. It's more like the boys are more like serious about it. So,
can you tell me a little bit a little bit more about the triphasic program and how you kind of set it up? Just a little bit more in depth.
I think the triphasic, the way it's originally set up by Cal, was eccentric phase first, then the isometric phase, and then he finishes with a concentric phase. So with me, it's like, let's just say I get an athlete home from college for the summer or 4 months, whatever it is. We're going to start and we're going to go back to a concentric phase. I don't throw them right into an eccentric phase because I don't know what they were doing. They could give me a program, tell me what they were doing. But we're going to throw them into a nice little base building phase. It may be really, really brief because they told me they were lifting a bunch in season. So, or whatever. So we'll go into a brief concentric phase, which basically is just your average lifting for those that aren't super familiar with what those mean. So like a 5x5.
Yeah.
4x6, 4x7, whatever it is. And then we'll move into the eccentric. So now we're ripping down muscle fibers, breaking them down. So slow 3-4 counts on the way down on our core lifts. And we're tearing muscle fibers apart. This is where they should be the most sore. And then we're ripping those muscle fibers apart, but we're building them back up. The idea is you build them back up more fibrous and more stronger than they were before.
Yeah.
And then we go into the isometric phase, which is basically moving against an immovable, or trying to move against an immovable object.
Yeah.
So big things for me are like trap bar into the pins, back squat into the pins. The trap bar is the big one that we use with everybody that goes into triphasic because you can really, it's kind of like Louis talked about, like you can do more than you think. Like you can really pull a trap bar into those pins.
Yeah.
You can lift up there's certain guys that can't do it on certain racks because they're not bolted to the ground.
Right.
Lift the entire thing up. So that can really drive out a lot of power. And what we've actually found is during that phase, what we'll do is we'll give the stimulus of moving against an immovable object, so into the pins, and then they'll do like an assisted maybe. So like an assisted pogo, like 5 max effort assisted pogos, like on one of my racks with bands. And then I'll have them go straight to the vertical jump mat and jump. And what we're finding is some of these athletes who are super developed and have a lot of muscle mass and a lot of muscle endurance, they'll go over to the mat and they'll PR.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the assisted pogo, is that like bands at the top of a rack and you're jumping? Essentially, it's like pulling you up in a way?
And so what we're teaching there is more like ground reaction time.
Yeah.
So like coming out of the bounce and teaching the body that it can jump and then absorb those forces. But yeah, what we're finding is some of those post-pubescent, super developed athletes that have that muscle endurance will fire at the nervous system there.
Yeah.
It fires it up, and then we get over the jump mat and they PR.
Some contrast.
So yeah, and it also, putting them on the mat also ekes out that maximal effort because they're trying to PR. So again, intent.
I love that. This is an interesting subject for me. I'd love to hear, when do you have an athlete use a weight belt, and speak on the proper usage of weight belt, because I see it improperly used so often.
We do have weight belts in here. They're probably collecting dust.
Really?
Right now. In the winter, I have some big guys that like to throw them on. I'm not a big weight belt guy. I went on and off in my lifting career with weight belts.
Yeah, same.
Sometimes I would feel like, but I felt like I could really, so a weight belt for me, and I don't know what they were traditionally created for, but for me, a weight belt is creating pressure in the abdominal cavity.
Yep.
Like basically pushing against that weight belt.
Intra-abdominal pressure, right?
Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm a big, strong guy. I can push against that with my belly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically it's fixing my spine. Like I never felt like I was I wasn't going into super flexion, on my spine, with the weight belt. But that's what I see constantly when I have these skinny kids want to throw a weight belt on.
Yep.
It's just not really a thing here. I don't teach them how to use it.
Yeah.
So then I'll have strong guys put it on. And as long as they're showing me that they can create that inner abdominal pressure, and keep their spine in a line, with their pelvis, then we're good. But
I love it.
I'm not a huge weight belt guy.
Thoughts on footwear? Is there any that you recommend and don't recommend?
Don't recommend. So I was always a big I love the flat shoes for lifting. So Chuck Taylors, I still have a couple pairs of Chuck Taylors.
Go classics.
I still lift in those religiously.
Same.
Not good for jumping though.
Yeah.
Contrary to what they thought when our dads played with in high school, Chuck Taylors on the basketball court, not good. That's asking for a stress fracture. So I do have some kids that throw on some flat shoes occasionally, but I'll say don't sprint in those.
Right.
And then I don't like the big cushy heels. I'm trying to think of a lot of Nikes have
big air bubbles at the back.
Air bubble at the side of the shoe.
Unstable.
Well, yeah, and what I find with those is it encourages, they have trouble squatting in it unless they, it's kind of throws a little wedge under there. And I don't know but I see too much heel disconnection in those. So I hate those. I'm big on just standard turf shoes are great. New school turf shoes kind of I'm ooh, those are great. Those are great cross trainers, kind of
right.
Not too high, not too low. They work really well in here, but just, I'm a big Under Armour, New Balance guy, not a big Nike guy. There's not a whole lot of Nike shoes that I've looked at and I'm oh, those are good trainers.
Right. I kind of agree.
Most of the time, Under Armour. Running shoes are fine, but I don't critique a whole lot in here on shoes. I have kids that like to take their shoes off and do certain things, and I'm just ugh, no. They'll take their shoes off and do vertical jumps, and I'm just God, I got a stress fracture watching you, landing like that. And broad jumps, absolutely not. But I'll let them do it if they think they're going to PR. Some will sprint and think they're going to hit a PR sprinting on my turf.
Yo, really?
No shoes.
How do you incorporate jumping in plyo work?
Yeah. So it's progressional for us. So we'll start with just jumping, for instance, a standard approach box jump. That to me teaches proper movement, teaches them how to land with hip flexion, and land safely. And I teach them all that, how to step down. We don't jump backwards off boxes, stuff like that. And then that progresses from there. So the second program, you might see a depth drop to jump, depending on the athlete. If they're pretty advanced athlete, they'll move to depth drop into broad or depth drop into another box jump, we'll start to move into some depth type work. And then once they become even more advanced, we'll move into like assisted work. So the assisted pogos that I talked about, kind of grabbing that low-hanging fruit if they struggle with athletic type movements. I really like those assisted jumps because it just teaches them ground reflex time, ground contact time, coming right out of that jump and reflexing. I'll try to show them like that's what I want it to look like bouncing. But yeah, it's like anything else in here for me, it's progressional. So we don't jump. It kind of seems like common sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes things progressional, but I guess I'd probably be surprised.
But you've been in the strength and conditioning game for 20 years now too, so it makes but not everyone.
Right,
it's not natural for everybody.
With the most complex stuff, thinking that's what's going to take them.
Yeah,
they need to go the
baby
fastest.
steps.
Yeah. So baby steps, progressions,
absolutely.
To me, I'm like, I want you to be with me for the duration of your sport athletic career. So it's like, to me, I have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Unless you tell me otherwise. So I could be super progressional with it.
Are you a believer in using medicine balls for rotational power and stuff like that?
Huge on medicine ball rotations. Not that you couldn't rotate with something else, but just applicable in our gym to the highest level. So like our reinforced plyo wall, we'll throw against that, throw as hard as we can. I'm big. What I really dislike is heavy medicine balls, like guys picking up the 12 or 16 pounder.
And they can't move it fast or powerfully.
I'm big. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it fast.
Yeah.
That may have like maybe a heavy rotation, may have some traction somewhere.
That's the young male ego.
Yeah,
right.
It's not what I want.
I need the 12. Yeah.
The reason you're doing the exercise is because I want your body to learn how to be twitchy. So so a lot of guys will get really humbled when I'm like, give me that 8.
Yeah.
I give them back the 4. So it's a hit to their ego, but I'm like, listen, I'm going to explain this to you. This is why.
Right.
So 4, 6, and 8 is really all I want rotated. Like if they're doing a rotation, it's my highest level guys, maybe 8.
Yeah.
Standard athlete 4 or 6.
Thoughts about increasing throwing velocity, or ways.
So, I mean, we've got a lot of case studies in here, a lot of guys that have made huge leaps and bounds in their velocity.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to look at the whole strength thing, the low-hanging fruit. What is it? So, obviously strength is my number one thing. Like, let's get strong.
Solves a lot of things.
And it solves a lot of things.
It does.
Let's move properly. And then I'm just looking at them like, what do you do poorly?
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, it's something in their upper body, whether it be scap retraction or they have super depressed scapulae. So like, you'll see that huge angle coming from their scalenes down to their basically delts, where it's a huge angle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you need something different. If I do a bunch of trap bar deadlifting with you, that's going to make your problem worse.
Yeah.
So we need to do the opposite. But a lot of it's like fine tweaking. Once we get strong, once we get fast and we're doing things twitchy, now we're looking at finer movements. So retraction, protraction, like scat push-ups, Y's and T's.
I remember you being really good at that back when we were Body Symmetry too. Like you really hit those hard. I remember you doing a lot with a lot of your athletes, a lot of scap stuff.
Yeah, I think, so I think I got that from some material that I was probably studying during my internship.
Mm-hmm.
There was a physical therapist that I pulled a lot of stuff from. Dr. Gray was his name, I think. And he was big on fine motor, fine stuff in the scap, sub-scap work. Because everybody just thinks, rotator cuff, like rotator cuff. That's all you ever hear.
Right.
It's like really the big stuff is like the serratus and things that pull the scap to the rib cage.
Right.
Because guys that
can create a healthier environment for your rotator cuff if that's in line.
Right. Like that. If you really look at, I used to just sit there and stare at the whatever the skeleton on the wall on the poster, and you can just see all the muscle. And I just try to study. We try to study all of those subscap muscles that pull the scap around to the rib cage, because that's what I was always told. It doesn't make a lot of sense to the average person. Like, why is that important to throwing? But yeah, definitely.
What are some core lifts that you really believe in that are kind of like staples here at Washko Strength and Speed?
So staples for core lifts are going to be, and I'll just go through the progressions. It's going to be like trap bar deadlift first and foremost, just because it's such a simple movement. It's a squat where you
If you could only do one movement, would that be it for the rest of your life? Like one lift? Sorry to derail you.
Yeah, probably.
I would too.
Probably.
All right.
Just,
Sorry.
Yeah, it's so simple. You're just holding the weight, at a different angle, but you're squatting. I tell kids, your chest, it's a squat. Your chest is going to come down a little more, and you're holding the weight at your, calves, stay in that line with your calves and your shins. And so from there, that's the second lift actually surprises people. We moved to front squat. So for a lot of kids, that's like, oh,
I know that's been a staple, for a long time for you.
Back squatted. Like, like these kids will tell me, well, I've back squatted. And it's like, I've never front squatted. I don't know what I'm doing. That's my second. And for a variety of reasons, it does them a lot of good later if they move on to lift in college or whatever.
Less load on the spine.
Well, yeah. And you're talking about like getting into that clean position. They might have a college coach throw cleans at them. Yeah. So trap bar, front squat. Those are like my two staples. So if I get a really good mover that comes in with me, 15 or 16 years old, already moves really well and can get in the front squat position, those are the first two on their day one, day two.
Okay.
So trap bar on day one, front squat will be day two. And then we get through those progressions. Now, if they're really athletic already, halfway through that front squat program, the day two, I'll throw front rack reverse lunges in. So now we're getting in, and that's good. That's always great. I tell them, I'm like, this is awesome because you're such a good mover already that I can just throw these in a few weeks in. Sure. Typically, a good 14-year-old athlete is going to have like 9 weeks of trap bar and front squat. And then that second program, they'll get that progression with the front rack reverse lunges. And then we move, beyond that. So now you're talking, now I'll start to think about bench press. So football bar bench press is what I'm big on.
Yeah.
Everyone that gets to the age where once they can push the bar, even with no weight, football bars first. We think later down the road about straight bar.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it like I used to be for the baseball overhead athletes. We'll get to it if they want to.
Yeah. And
if they don't have any nagging issues.
Yeah.
If they have upper body nagging issues, it's an absolute
straight bar's out. Yeah.
We're not needed. We don't need it. And then, we're talking about safety bar. So the SSB bar is what we call it.
Yeah.
I love that bar.
Three of those in here. Yeah. That's a completely different lift to me. We'll do a lot of like box squatting with the SSB bar.
Yeah.
Or like banded.
Yeah.
Like slow on the way down, explode up with the banded accommodating resistance. And then we've actually got this really cool bar in here that I bought about a year ago. I call it the Ox bar. It's that open trap bar that you see behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's got two different grips on it. One makes you get super, super low.
I see that.
It's the skinny grip.
Yeah.
And then you have the fat grips.
Fat. Yeah. High.
Those are super fat grips.
Yeah.
I mean, so I love when guys are like, I'm going to trap bar with that today. I've got like a 15 or 16-year-old football player.
They're going to lighten the load for sure.
Oh, dude. And that dude will grab that bar and he loves it. Like, it's a huge challenge for him.
Yeah.
And so some guys will pick up the bar, and sometimes I'll program it. So I'll do like the open trap bar concept of just like reverse lunging with the trap bar. So because we can't really do that
with the closed one. Yeah.
So it's open. So we'll do
what a versatile tool.
We'll do reverse lunges where instead of the bar up here, we got the bar down here now. So that's where I can really start to play, when I can throw the Ox bar in, when I can throw the safety bar in. And then you're talking about getting into hang cleans and stuff like that with super advanced athletes. So rear foot elevated too. I'm big on rear foot elevated. So that's another playing thing that I do. Like, man, we've done everything. Let's mix it up. I'm going to put you in that rear foot elevated stance.
Pretty challenging.
Yeah, I've got 3 of those rollers in here that were a big tool for us to buy because now I can comfortably put them in the rear foot elevated position. And I'm big on, for younger kids, learning the split stance stuff. Once they learn the split stance, like goblet, a reverse lunge, or split stance squat with the goblet, I'll take them next progression is front foot elevated. So now so we have a step off from from the floor to the turf here.
Yeah.
I'll just put their front foot up there.
I like that.
And then we'll go heel elevated. So it's like this progression.
Little changes that create adaptions.
Oh, yeah. It really makes a difference. And I think that's what we do better now than what we used to.
It's the mark of a good strength coach.
Those little tweaks. Like I think about a year ago, I started thinking like, why don't I elevate the heel? Like, why does the heel always have to be flat?
Yeah.
And I think I probably learned that from somebody. It's like, we train too much with the heel flat. I'm not going away from heel flat. Some people are like anti heel flat, like weirdos like that. But like heel elevated, let's train with that heel elevated.
Yeah.
Because I will expose kids. And I'm like, your heel's not up.
That's
I'll
great.
yell across the gym.
Yeah.
You may think your heel's up, but your heel's flat right now. Or you're cheating because you're hovering it off the edge, and it's really not up. It's just hovering. So
I love that.
kids will get exposed there.
Interesting. What lifts should baseball players stay away from? You already kind of mentioned the overhead press.
Yeah. Really just throwing weights over their head.
It's too dangerous for
too dangerous.
shoulder capsule,
Yeah.
joint spacing.
And it's not needed.
Right.
It's not needed. So that's a big one. I used to be anti-bench press, like straight bar. I'm not anti-bench press, but again, is it needed? So do you play two sports? Okay, maybe we can think about some bench press. You just got to show me that you can really, because I'm big on bench press should be in more like big arms, not big chest. Now, like world record holders are probably, way out here with bench press, but me, I'm about like, can you torque that bar?
Yeah.
Bring almost like feel like you're in here.
Right, tucking those elbows, right?
That's the way I have to bench press. I can't.
Oh, that's the quickest way to shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm toast.
Yeah.
And I have enough shoulder issues. So I pride myself on being able, I'm a good bencher now.
Yeah.
Because I can get in there and I just say it's big arms, not big chest.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Tell me how you use accommodating resistance, chains and bands and stuff. I know it's a fun thing in the strength and conditioning community. Some people don't use them correctly. Tell me how you utilize them.
It's kind of it's probably a little bit overhyped, not as needed as maybe some people think.
Yeah.
But I do like it because it changes things up and gives them a different feel.
Yeah.
So obviously we'll use bands. I'm big on bands during the power phase.
Yeah.
Because it just makes them feel that speed.
Yeah, you have to accelerate through it, through the resistance.
Chains, I'll program them here and there like we have them. Again, I'm really looking at the really strong kids that I have, really strong athletes that I have. That's where we'll kind of, I would say, probably more in the eccentric phase. I'll make them feel those links hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Slow, and then explode out of it. So, obviously a different feel than the bands, but as far as core lifts go, that's about as crazy as we get. There's some super expensive tools out there that you can get like those, or you get down to a certain point and you'll see those arms drop off.
Oh, they drop off. Yeah, the lever arms. Yeah, I've seen those.
Those are a little bit crazy. Would be cool to have for some of my elite athletes, but not our bread and butter.
You already talked a little bit about it, but in what ways are you measuring progress with athletes? Your benchmark.
Our metrics.
Yeah.
Vertical jump, broad jump, and what we call the 20-yard fly, which is just our gold standard of sprinting. There's other ones out there. It's just kind of what I thought about for a while and went with, and so it's kind of what we have to stick with until I completely change things. We can move the lasers. We use laser timing system, so it times them accurately from what I've seen, and then we just log it. So constantly tracking, that's huge with me. And huge for the athletes too, like getting that retention of the athletes to stick around because they want to come back after baseball season or volleyball season because I need to go back and hit PRs. We're not guessing anymore. So we took the guesswork out, especially once we moved over here and now we can actually sprint. That's what I just say. I just tell them all we did was took the guesswork out. Like we thought kids were getting faster, but was there any really way to measure it aside from taking them over to a football field and timing their 60? No. So vertical jump is a big one too. Kids love seeing that go through.
Yeah, it's a fun number to look at.
Yeah, and I just tell them, I kind of say like, give me weeks of consistent training, twice a week of this stimuli, showing up and just giving it your best.
It's gonna work.
Not skipping, and I promise you that number's gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's not. I said it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's just I've done this long enough to where it's like, I guarantee you that number goes up.
Yeah.
And sometimes kids might surprise me and jump out of the gym just naturally. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make any promises on that. But it might take
That's great.
8 weeks versus 4. But usually my mark is kind of like, we're going to test them, stay away from all this testing for 4 weeks. And then after 4 weeks, we can retest. And if you've given me 4 weeks of consistent work, I'm going to show you that what you're doing is.
I love that. What are some of the biggest transformations that you've seen? I mean, is that what lights you up too? And it's like seeing like guys that are like, whoa, this guy like.
Yeah. Let's see.
I skipped a few questions there. Some things got answered. Yeah, we're on 59.
Yeah, the posterior chain stuff, and then you move down to transformation. Yeah, that's right. Man, I've got a few of them. Transformations, long term, guys are going to be like Cam Edmondson, Mitch Dye. Another kid that comes to mind is Bryson Mossman, Max Greamy. Those are guys that I've seen them go through really all the stages of development. And like for instance, like Cam walked into my gym, was one of my OGs when I first went on my own of the high school. I always tell people Cam kind of put me on the map for high school baseball in the area.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of cool because we've come full circle now, and he's back here.
Yeah.
Indie ball. He's actually helping me coach a little bit too, like camps and stuff, and doing the arm care, obviously. He walked into my gym like 5'6", 5'7", 165 pounds or 150 pounds, and was just like, I want to throw a 90. I was like,
okay, kid.
All right, sweet. Cool. Like, not going to do that anytime soon. But I remember his first session with me, we still joke about this. He was like, we did like a warm up. Like I used to do this really in-depth dynamic warm up with these group of guys. And he was like drenched in sweat. We had like the bay door open. It was like the summer. And I was like, all right, let's move to the good stuff now.
This is just the warm up.
Like, what? I was like, oh, and one of the other kids, I think, goes, that was just the warm-up, dude. His white shirt was just like drenched. And I think he could tell you, he was a puker. So he puked at least, I think he puked once or twice, but I know he puked that first day. And he was the kid who walked in, but man, he came back and just continued to come back. And I told everybody about him once I saw his work ethic, and I just I see things in kids. I see a certain focus in certain guys.
Sure.
And he was one of those first guys that I was like, this kid
has
focused.
it. Yeah.
He has it. Stature wise did not.
Yeah.
Little lefty. Had a great junior year, through quite a bit sophomore year, had a great junior year. And then I told everybody, I said, watch what this kid's going to do.
Really? Predicted it.
I said, he's going to win CSA Player of the Year.
Wow. Did he?
Yeah. 2019 Large School Player of the Year, which was essentially CSA Player of the Year too.
Yeah.
Got a scholarship, D1 scholarship. I don't remember what he was throwing. He was probably with a ton of effort popping mid-80s back then originally, and then started easily, still was a high effort guy. He's always been a high effort guy on the mound. Started popping 90s regularly, 91, 92 his senior year. And so that drew a lot of attention, and I just knew it was coming. And he had a great year at the plate too.
Yeah.
Lefty thrower, righty hitter. So he was super ambidextrous. Which was always good for power development in the gym because he could rotate both ways.
Yeah.
I remember telling everybody. I did the same thing with Sam too. I was like, this kid's gonna win CSA Player.
You knew it.
No question. Because he had that COVID year.
Yeah.
Which was his junior year, I believe, and then his senior year, I was like. So we had back-to-back CSA Player of the Year because we had 19.
Oh, wow.
20 had nobody.
Hey, if you want to be CSA Player of the Year.
Yeah, Rosie too.
You know where to go.
Rosie was back.
You got 3 of them.
Yeah, Rosie was back-to-back CSA Softball Player of the Year.
Wow.
Senior year. But yeah, I told everybody about those two. It was like, watch what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you see that focus in the gym. And they had that same focus going to the field.
Right.
It's like, and you kind of know the field too, like who are they up against for that kind of award.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, yeah, no question.
Oh, man. Which leads us perfectly into this next one. I'm going to talk about the development of Sam Antonaci. Why is he special?
Yeah. Gosh, for me, it was like the focus that he had, which made him so special. You could ask anything of him. I mean, that he had that, I used to just call it that the laser focus I saw in their eyes when they walked into the gym. There was no nonsense.
Yeah.
And then, just the other factor, which is just like, he's so easy to root for. Like wherever he's gone to play, I don't know what it is exactly about certain kids. It's probably just that trust I build with them, that relationship I build with them, the relationship they have with my kids, my family. It's the stuff we talk about outside of baseball. We rarely talk about baseball when those kind of kids are in here. Those kids that like I would drive, doesn't matter where he ends up, I will make a plan to go watch him play.
Yeah.
Because I know it means a lot to them. But it means more probably to me as far as, seeing the success that they have. It's kind of like watching a family member, like, do something great.
Yeah. Oh, well said.
It's just like, I would go anywhere. It doesn't matter where he's at. So yeah, watching those kids.
Is Sam in a way family to you? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Always will be when his playing career's over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He'll always be family. Yep.
Beautiful. Are there any all-time records at Washko Strength and Speed that you feel like need to be discussed, that are just like, let's talk about this? Is impressive.
Yeah. Oh man. It's pretty one-dimensional. The all-time records is so much of it's going to land in the Bartletti family.
It's the Bartletti wall.
It's pretty much, yeah. Louis 40-inch vertical, 123-inch broad jump. I think I might have another 40-incher in here someday, but I don't think I'll ever see another 123-inch broad jump.
What is that in feet?
What's that? What
is that in feet? The broad jump.
10.
Okay. Anything over
feet.
Anything over 10 is NFL combine receiver stuff.
Just to see it in a baseball.
Right.
Yeah, it's not super applicable. It's just
right.
Their
impressive.
Horizontal power.
Yeah.
And then female-wise, Rosie, incredibly gifted, but just how twitchy she was, or she is. So, and she's doing it two ways over at UIS. So, playing in the field, now she's one of their main pitchers, too. Low-hanging
fruit, to use one of your phrases. Yeah. What are some of the easiest things to address if an athlete wants to get faster?
Strength. Like we talked about, strength fixes all.
Yeah.
Every typical athlete that walks through my doors, their first low-hanging fruit is going to be strength. And then mechanically, like, what are we seeing? Are we seeing super weak hips? Like, no matter how many cues I give them, they continue to have a valgus collapse.
Yep.
That just tells me, like, okay, we have a huge strength deficiency laterally.
Yep.
So we're going to hammer.
Get those adductors.
Yeah. Turn on the hips while we squat. And then we're going to monster walk. I'm going to throw everything I have at you. Lying abductions, fire hydrants, donkey kicks, like everything that's going to develop the hips. I'm just going to throw the book at you.
Mm-hmm.
Hip strength, overall strength. But if you want to get specific, like hip strength is always going to be a super low hanging fruit in every athlete that comes to.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Well said. Who are some of the hardest workers that you've had that you can shout out?
Yeah, I can give some shout outs. Outside of the guys that we've talked about, obviously Sam, Louie, Mitch, Greamy, such a hard worker. Outside of those guys that I just continue to talk about, one comes to mind that is just, and sometimes it's like easy to recognize a sweater. Like, it's like, that guy's working hard. So I don't
recognize the sweater,
but like, Liam Dodsworth is Kyle's nephew.
That's right.
He is,
oh man, I've seen some videos of that dude. Wow.
Yeah,
he's a football tank out there at Williamsville, right?
Yeah. He's sophomore.
Okay.
So he's got 2 more years left out there.
Yeah.
Just a tank. Such a hard worker.
Loves to work.
He's doing lifts at Williamsville. He was wrestling. He wrestles too. Takes on I saw videos. Kyle was showing me a video of him taking on just this monster Division I football recruit. Because he's, at high school level, you have to wrestle at a certain weight.
Yeah.
Kind of, once you're a heavyweight, you're like wrestling some monsters.
Some dudes, yeah.
So he's at that level, and we talk a lot about like his weight because he wrestles. We talk about, how much can we afford to drop during wrestling season? What's going to be detrimental? Because we have to come back and start getting that weight back and lifting heavy.
Yeah.
Because football season's around the corner. That's kind of his big thing. So, but just working wise, what I know he's doing outside of here, in addition to here, kind of tells me he's one of the hardest ones I got. So, shout out to those guys.
Shout out. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've made as a strength coach?
Gosh, I would say probably thinking there was a time where I thought like the material things in here meant more than the actual relationships I was building, maybe, or like were on par, and it's really not even close. Like the relationships that the kids have with their coaches and me is the most important thing. That's what's going to keep them coming back.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, I need to invest in more equipment. Now, I like getting feedback where
Sure.
kids are like, hey, I really think we should have this or that. That would be really cool. I love going out and doing that. Like if I can afford to do it that month, I'll go out and buy something. But yeah, maybe thinking that like I need to spend all this money on these tools, these gadgets. That's what's going to keep kids coming back. It's like, nope, it's always going to be the relationships.
Oh, there it is. I love that. If money was no object, is there something that you would, some really cool piece of equipment that you would love to throw at? Kaiser.
I would go full blown Kaiser.
Old school, or not old school, but we know the Kaiser.
It's old school.
Air pressure. Yeah.
So, I mean, the Kaiser machines, I just drool over. Like some of the abilities of those Kaiser machines. So when Brewster let me hop on his stuff down in Charlotte, Tread Athletics, he was like, "You got to get some of this Kaiser stuff," and I was like, "Yeah." It's like
can't afford it. Maybe someday. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe someday. Like, but I also need the room. Like, they take up a lot of room, and he has like air pressure cords going all over the place.
Yep, I remember all that old body sim. Yeah,
they did the old school way too. Like where it was like
it would be loud. Turn it on.
Chad was like, I'm not spending money on the actual.
It was kind of gangster rigged, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally. He like drilled a hole in the wall, and the cord would go through. Yeah, and be like, oh yeah, that's just the compressor. And then like Bud Potter in his basement has like the nice little box. That's like,
oh, that's right. Bud Potter has one of the nicest gyms in Springfield in his house.
And nobody knows about it,
right?
Yeah, except for me and you.
We do. Oh, now everyone knows.
Shut up, Bud Potter.
Shout out.
Such a great guy.
He is.
Yeah, I would go full blown Kaiser, like on everything, like leg extensions, lat pull down, leg curl, belt squat. He got me.
I saw you got a belt squat over there,
dude. The belt, that's old school, and there's something to be said about that. I do like it, but the ability to like press, like
change it like that,
10 reps, and then press, and then do another 10 reps or something like for a burnout.
Pretty incredible,
dude. The belt squat's incredible.
Yeah,
that'd be the first thing I go to probably.
And the belt squat, not everyone would know what that is, but it's something that's gained more traction in strength and conditioning. It's you're not actually loading your spine, so you can essentially load the weight on your hips. It's a belt that actually goes down, a line goes down between your legs, and you can squat without the shearing forces on your lumbar spine.
Just volume without the breakdown.
Beating you up. Any thoughts on stability training?
Yeah, we do quite a bit of stability stuff, especially with. What comes to mind is like my athletes that are hypermobile. So occasionally I'll have a new member that joins that we find in their assessment that they're hypermobile, or they may already know they're hypermobile. So they will get the book thrown at them as far as stability goes, because now I'm worried like injury, like in here, not just out in there. They're definitely more prone to injury in their sport, but now they're going to be prone to injury in here as well. So, making sure that we're hitting all the joints that are important. So, it could be single leg ankle stuff. It could be overhead, elbow and shoulder stuff where we're holding it at a 90-degree angle, like a kettlebell. But yeah, stability stuff for my throwers. So like, holding that plank position, going into protraction where we're holding that position. So scapular stability. We're big on it. It doesn't take over my thoughts, but when I think it's needed or when someone has an injury history, it's for sure.
Thoughts on long toss?
Huge long toss fan. I think done right, it takes some maturity to be able to get a lot out of long toss. Like you got to be able to know when you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is where it couldn't lie is like a coach just says we long toss every day.
Yep.
And some kids they can't do that.
Right.
Kids get beaten down behind the plate. They may catch and throw like I did my junior year, and that causes a lot of issues. There's no way I could long toss every day. But some kids can. Like some kids can just do it. Position players can do it every day, and they never have any issues. So it takes maturity
Well said. Yeah.
If they're not mature enough, it needs to be really guided long toss for a younger kid, and kid has to give feedback.
Yeah.
I never told anybody my arm was sore, so have to be able to have that trust with your coach or your arm care coach or whoever it is.
Are you following like Driveline, all the stuff they're doing, the pull downs and stuff like that, and like really, there's all kinds of crazy stuff now with the velocity and like there's
a lot of stuff. I don't follow Driveline, just not a Driveline fan, but I'll pick a lot of stuff from Ben at Tread. The OG for me was Eric Cressy.
Oh yeah, I knew you liked it. I know that's your guy. Yeah.
He was an OG for me
for sure.
And then I follow more of Ben's stuff now, and I also can text Ben and or hit him up on social media, whatever. So,
are there any other high level guys that you really like and respect and look at their stuff?
Gosh, I think
it's towards the end, 79.
Yeah.
Next page.
I thought there was somebody. Yeah, because I said Cressy. Yeah, so
I'm bouncing around now. Sorry, buddy.
No, there's a couple more guys that I wanted to shout out. It was like Zach DeChant. So Zach DeChant's TCU.
Yeah. Oh man, incredible.
Just
man,
really high level programming, and just some of the stuff that he throws in, particularly programming wise, really helps me when I need like an inspiration. And then kind of on a lower level, but I like the environment he fosters, is Tom Summers. So he's out of Florida.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh no, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Definitely
some cool stuff.
But yeah, he's got a lot of guys in there that hit and throw, and it could be a similar environment to what we have here. Like
seriously, yes.
I mean, he may not be coaching hitters or something, but he gets a lot of footage of guys hitting.
Yeah.
And maybe he does. He might be a good hitting coach. I'm not really sure. But has a lot of softball players too, like high level softball players. I think he gets a lot of the like Florida University guys and girls. But yeah, just a few guys that I really like to pull from.
You obviously have a presence on social media. How do you see social media? How do you go about making posts when you think it's appropriate to? Are you trying to just put a ton out there, or do you feel like it needs to be special, or how do you see it?
Yeah, social media for me is such a lacking thing that I need to be better at, and I always tell people, I'm like, I wish I just had somebody that would just come in here, get footage weekly, and then just make cool posts for me.
Me too, buddy.
Because I'm so not creative. But when I make these posts, like when I make these reels, like I like making these reels where I like, I'll feature an athlete. That's like my thing. I like to just feature an athlete.
That's cool.
Gives them the recognition of how hard they've been working in here, and they get to share it, and then gain followers from that because they're putting it on their story, and you might introduce somebody that didn't know about us.
Win-win.
Yeah. So, for me, it's when you see me posting, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that.
Like I got some good footage this week.
Yeah.
I was really feeling it. Like when I get my camera on my tripod, I think the kids know in here, like, oh, he's fired up.
Oh yeah. Like, Jared's feeling it.
Yeah. Like I'm feeling like I got the music blaring. Like if I don't have my camera out, like not that I'm not feeling it or inspired, but it might be a day where I'm just going through the motions of just, whatever, just trying to get through the day or whatever. Yeah. But when you see me with my camera on my tripod, I'm still coaching. I'm still putting that camera down real quick, and then I'm going to go coach. But you'll see me flying around the gym with this tripod. And I'm just gathering content, and I might use it down the road. Sometimes I'll go back and find a clip, and put together a reel, whether it be for a team or a specific individual. But usually I'll pick out an individual. I'm like, you've been working hard for like 6 months. Let's feature you.
That's so cool.
Get some clips.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like throwing some nice music on it. So that's when I'm inspired. And so I like when I go on those streaks, but it's like if I have a lot going on in my life, like I don't have the brain power to sit down that night and blast off a social media reel. Once I get going, once I sit down, I'm like, all right, I just need to do this. Like it usually ends up pretty good, and inspiring for me, but it's just like, yeah, I need to be better at it. Maybe one day I'll be able to pay somebody just to come in with a sweet.
I'm thinking of doing that myself.
That's like, just come and do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you feel motivation to, get your stuff out to like a national audience, or are you content with being like the dude here?
Yeah, I don't feel that pressure or that want to be nationally recognized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool because you see guys like Summers Method who come out of nowhere,
Sure.
and it's like, okay, all of a sudden he has this national following.
Right. And like, I could do that.
Yeah, because like, it's like I'm no different than him. I don't
Right.
feel like he's that much better.
Probably doing the same stuff.
Something popped for him on
Right.
social media, and now all of a sudden he's the dude.
Yeah.
Nothing against it, but it's like, I could do that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't feel that want on a daily basis. But sometimes it'd be like, man, it'd be nice to pull some income for the business.
Yeah.
Like as far as like remote training or like selling programs online, like
Yeah.
that can really gain. You're not going to sell programs online on a website unless you have some kind of
Presence. Yeah.
presence.
Sure.
So sometimes it's one video that takes off or something.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, for me, I don't feel the pressure not to be. I don't need to be a nationally recognized coach, but sometimes it's like, man, I can make this place nicer if I had like another income stream.
Yeah.
We could really add some tools here, kind of like Tread. I mean, he has a huge following on. I mean, he's took off. And that now he became the guy.
Yeah.
And so now he has people flying in for weeks at a time to
Right.
train with him. But it's a remote business.
I am curious to see where this is going to be in another 5 to 10 years because there have been steps, like starting out and, Weird Body Symmetry and then Rhino and then here. And it's just really cool to see. I really am curious. I think it's going to go well for you. Thoughts on diet? So one of the guys, can't remember who it was, started talking that you're kind of doing more diet advice now, diet nutrition.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you believe in, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not a huge believer in like I don't have huge philosophies as far as nutrition goes, because really it's pretty cut and dry with my athletes. It's like you need to gain or you're good.
Yeah.
You're good where your weight is at. We'll talk a lot about like, especially with like baseball and basketball players and football players, where it's like, where I can talk about their weight freely, and I'm like, I really like you at 185, or like you just don't have the stature to be 210.
Right.
So don't let somebody tell you
You got to be
don't let
210.
your strength coach tell you got to be 210 at school,
Right.
Because you're not there. That diminishing returns with weight is what we're going to see. So that's why
Boom.
we track.
Great set. Yeah.
With those older guys, I tell them it's so important that we continue to track. Even though you feel strong, you feel fast, we need to track those numbers, because if you're trying to gain weight or lose weight and we're not tracking those numbers,
Right.
we could get way behind the 8 ball of like, oh shoot, we're slow now.
Right. We're getting slower and less explosive.
So-
Is that a good thing?
Right. We keep tabs on
Because you're 210?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So, okay, cool. You gained all that weight, but now
You're worse.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so if we can keep tabs on that, and like Cam was a big one where like he told me freely, like he gained a bunch of weight like when he went off to college, and he was like, yeah, I'm gaining. This is good. And then he came back one year and he was just like, I'm fat. He's like, not that he was, but he was like, I lost it. Like he's always been super in tune with himself and being able to make those, like I said, he's self-taught.
Yeah.
Taught himself to throw, the way he does now. And so he was like super comfortable with being like, I need to go back down to 175 because that's where I'm a really good mover. I lost something when I went to 190.
Good for him for having that realization.
Yeah. He can hold more now just because his body's matured. I think, I don't know what he is now. He's probably like 180 maybe. Maybe 175. I can't remember, but yeah, they're diminishing returns was the point of that. Like we can reach a point where if we're not tracking, that becomes an issue because if we're holding, as long as we're holding that line, and if you need to gain weight, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we're holding the line. So if we're holding that line, that doesn't mean you're the same powerful. It means you're more powerful.
Right, because more weight.
Yeah, it's more wattage.
Absolutely.
So that's what I try to explain to them. Like, it's not, you gained 15 pounds in the last year and your numbers stayed the same.
You're more powerful.
Yeah, you're more powerful because you're moving more weight. So that's good.
I love that. Thoughts on supplementation? I know people have so many different philosophies on this. What is worthwhile? What is a waste of money?
Yeah, there's a lot that's a waste of money.
Yeah, that's the dang truth.
So as far as like athletes go, there's not really an athlete that I have in here that I would tell they don't need creatine.
Right, creatine.
Creatine's so huge. It's so widely researched.
Yeah.
It's just, there's really no reason you can't take it.
Safe. The safety profile on it's excellent. I have my parents taking creatine for the mental stuff. I mean, it's anti-dementia. There's all kinds of incredible stuff for it.
There's a lot of stuff coming out about it. Yeah. So it needs to be a part of your routine, or else you'll get off track and you won't get the gains from it that you could. So I'm actually switching that for myself, switching my wife and I over to gummies because it's just easier. Like, it's more routine. Like, they're more expensive per serving.
Yeah.
But the powder, it's like some days I don't drink anything.
Yeah. Forget it.
It's like sometimes that doesn't come around for me. So I'm spotty with it. So if I get these So we thought, let's get these gummies and we'll throw them in. Yeah, other than that, I mean, protein powder is great. It's a good filler, but I tell guys that's not the end all be all. You still got to eat.
Do you have any thoughts on grams of protein per body weight or anything like that? Or
yeah, as a rule of thumb, I think 1 gram per pound. Of what you
pretty
want
standard.
to eat.
Oh, what you want to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Love that.
That's like I have a skinny kid in here who started not too long ago, back up with me again, and so back to that nutrition thing, we're tracking nutrition now, where we have this app that we track them. I pay for the pro membership, and they all get an upgraded membership for free where they can scan their stuff in, and I can see all their data. So he started with me, and we're tracking. He's one of my first cases because this is new to 2025. He's tracking his weight. He's like 135 pounds or something. Well, our goal, we decided, was 150 by football season or whatever. Still a pretty skinny kid. So he's looking, he's like, I'm eating like crazy. And I'm like, well, let's look at it. I'll pull it up. Tons of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And, fat. And then
no protein.
Protein's like 90, 100, maybe 115.
Yeah.
But we're never reaching.
Right. What you need.
Or maybe he was hitting 135, but he's never reaching that weight he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you see this? Like, we need 150 plus every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was discouraged. He's like, I'm eating like crazy. And he's right, he was. But I said, but your metabolism is so freaking fast that you're just burning through those carbohydrates by walking around.
Yeah.
So nothing's gaining traction, nothing's holding. We did 150 plus for like 7 days, and he saw immediate results.
Really?
Like, on the scale at least. So that was real, kind of like an eye-opening moment for him and me, where it was like, there's something to that. Like, we need to harp on that more. Like, we knew it, but it was like we weren't really closely following that.
Yeah.
So
well said. And I know I kind of touched on this a little earlier. I've always been so impressed with your time management and how you manage being a firefighter, a dad, a full-time strength coach. You've got a young child that we're going to get to that has major medical issues. And you talked about you and your wife, schedule everything. That has to be on a schedule. Is that how you kind of keep it all together? How do you balance all this, man? I'm so impressed. I always have been.
Yeah, it's a team effort for sure. It's the family calendar in the phone, being able to, and I screw up the family calendar constantly. Like, just won't, I'll miss something and, I'll get in trouble. So it's, cause sometimes she's like, it's in the calendar. And I'm just like, I totally missed that. But it's a team effort. I mean, her supporting every step that I've taken with the business, because every step I take is more on her, and possibly more time away. Yeah. So I kind of just like, the way I see it is like, we're building something that's sustainable, and then it's going to allow me to take time off and live comfortably, hopefully. That's the end goal. So, so balancing it all, I mean, the firefighter thing is it's the most flexible, inflexible job.
That's so well said.
It's like,
wow. Yeah.
But the good thing is, contrary to popular belief, I can sleep. It's like, I can sleep while we're there. People don't understand that. I don't know how someone would survive not.
Right.
Like, wait, you thought I didn't sleep?
Right. You're not allowed to sleep. Right.
It's almost like insulting. Like, you think people are capable of that?
Right.
I dare you to give that a try.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to be at work, and if there's a pressing issue with the business or with family, I can take a phone call. I can hop on my computer, and I can leave. It's like, if like this happened so many times before, where a kid is sick.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You try to bid a house that is in or close to where you live, district-wise. Is that still what you're trying to do?
I'm still there.
Are you at 12 still?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I have to anymore. It is a comfort.
Absolutely, 100%.
Close to home, but when Ty was first born, it was like,
I need to be close.
I mean, within one of these two stations.
Yeah.
It was so
12 or 8?
Yeah, pretty much. And I did end up, because I went from 8 to 12. So,
right.
But yeah, I was at 10, 8, 12. And
Station 12 being the Kokomo station.
And obviously buffaloed for a lot of years too. So hit the Buffalo Trail a lot.
So for guys that don't know, the Buffalo Trail is when you're kind of a junior firefighter, they will move you around. You have a home, but it just depends on where remaining they need to fill that day. So you might end up all different kind of places. Tell me about becoming a firefighter, you kind of said that you got that idea from doing your EMT course, right? Okay, then what are the best parts about being a firefighter?
Oh man, it's just got to be like getting close with certain guys and, just having those ride or dies that, you can go to work every day and it's like, I know exactly what I'm going to get, like that camaraderie. And that's honestly why I continue to be probably in the same spot that I've been the last few years.
You find a good little group of people out there, haven't you?
Yeah. Camaraderie, like, I even got to work with my boys for a couple of years, like my litter mates out there.
Yeah, you got a good class, good guys.
Class that I graduated the fire academy with, and just having those guys that you trust. When you could have a really really crappy call, and if you go through a really really crappy call with guys that you don't feel comfortable talking to,
yeah,
it can be an issue.
That's absolutely.
So as some of us have experienced, so having those guys that you trust really goes a long way. So yeah, I mean, I passed on a promotion to stick with the guys I'm with.
Really? Yeah. Passed on driver?
Twice.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that you're there?
It's there. Yeah, it's there. So you get a lot of people like, you taking it? It's like, so I passed for now.
Good for you, man.
I got a baby coming in June, so I think hopefully it'll come around the fall and I might change my mind.
I don't expect you to get into the nitty gritty of like a grizzly call, but what are some of the more challenging parts about firefighting?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always going to be pediatric calls. Right now, for me, and the stage that I'm at in my life.
Yep.
Really, nothing to me is challenging, as far as like, ooh, that was a bad call.
Yeah.
Except for pediatric calls. At least I've never found one. We had one the other day, and luckily it ended up being okay. Baby went to the hospital and everything, but those calls are, it comes in as a baby not breathing. That's. The whole way you're like, man, I hope I'm gonna be able to
keep it together.
Like
perform,
live up to my expectations of being the medic. The eye on scene, the intermediate on scene. Like I hope, just because pediatric calls, just I mean, like any medic or firefighter can attest to. It's a different beast.
Yes,
it's like. Yep. Nothing, everything's different. They're so few and far between that you don't practice them as often. And honestly, and then when you have a kid at home, especially with health conditions, that adds another layer to it. And if you just have kids at home in general, I think it adds a layer to it because you're looking at that 2-year-old that might be hurt or sick, whatever, and you're like, oh, that that reminds me of my 2-year-old at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the most challenging for sure.
I totally agree with that. Do you have any funny stories that you could share, a little bit on the lighter side of firefighting, or a good story or anything like that?
Gosh, I don't know if I have anything. Being funny. Man, I might have to come back to that one.
Okay, we'll circle back. So we're going to get to a little more deeper question here. We're going to be talking about your son, Ty. And what all he's kind of gone through in his young life and how your family has adjusted. And on a personal note, the reason, I'm not trying to get too deep here, but the reason I'm no longer firefighting is because I had some really difficult pediatric calls that made the job undoable for me. And there have been times when I've wanted to ask about Ty, but because I have a very difficult time talking about pediatric stuff, I have not. So from like friend to friend perspective, I apologize if I fell short on checking in on him, seeing how things are going. I know you guys have a ton of support and whatnot, and you're not like, oh, why hasn't Blake texted me? But what you guys have gone through is, why don't I just let you talk about it? Why don't you just tell me about your son, Ty?
Yeah. So Ty, it was my second born. We learned in utero that he had some issues. We didn't know the extent of them. This was right before COVID. So he was born October of 2019. So that whole year, we got like a 15-month-old at home, 18-month-old, whatever he was, when Ty was born. And we had a perfectly, aside from a really short NICU stay with my first one, we had a really smooth pregnancy with the first one. So this was new territory. We learned he just had some kind of bladder, kidney, basically urinary system issue. we didn't know the extent of it. We thought we got through some windows where we had, we were in the clear, and then we were referred to St. Louis for a specialist. So in utero, like Sammy went through a procedure that essentially saved Ty's life while he was in the womb. Without that procedure, which was a very difficult procedure, kind of similar to what they do, like, for like spina bifida. Obviously, spina bifida is like way crazier. They go, this is Glenn, one of my head coaches. So what they do, what's up, Glenn? So what they do, they go in, and not as in depth as spina bifida, but they go into the womb, go into the uterus, and then they basically operate. So really dicey kind of situation. This was on a smaller scale, but it was still super unique and precision. We'd never heard anything like this. So they go in, basically drain his bladder, which in a sense, like, it was either that or she goes into labor, which he would not have survived at that time.
Yeah.
So in the long run, saved his life. And then we were kind of in the clear for a little bit, and then she just like stopped creating amniotic fluid. He had no fluid. So then we started to wonder about the kidneys. And so he was induced in St. Louis, and he was born not breathing, basically.
Oh my God.
He was trying to breathe, but just was coming out.
Gosh, I can't even.
He wasn't that early. People are like, oh, was he a preemie? I mean, he was like 35 weeks and 6 days, really.
Right.
But the lungs were like 20 something.
Really?
Because the presence of amniotic fluid develops the lungs. Well, he didn't
have any
period of time that we thought he did.
Yeah.
For developing the lungs. So his lungs were actually the first issue, and those are what almost made him not survive the birth and then the NICU stay and all that. So we stayed in St. Louis for 2 months. Lived in St. Louis.
Man.
Took time off work.
Yeah.
Guys at the fire department working my shifts. I'm sure you remember that.
Yep.
So I didn't have a ton of sick time.
Right. So young guy on the job. Yeah. So you build up your sick time. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got through that, and then we got through the kidney stuff, and then he started dialysis. We learned that basically his kidneys were non-functioning.
Yeah.
Essentially. They were working a little bit, but definitely not to the extent that they needed to. So now you're starting to get into things. He got through the lung stuff, and then it was like, okay, we're thinking about transplant. We can't transplant until he's big enough to transplant.
Yeah.
So he started what's called peritoneal dialysis. So peritoneal dialysis is different from hemo, but does the same thing. And then go home after 2 months. Doing the whole doctor visits every month, lots of worries and stuff. But we got in a pretty comfortable place with it. And then kidney transplant at 2 years old. So me and my wife were both matches. We didn't go outside of ourselves. We had a lot of people offer and get tested and stuff. But we learned that we were both matches, so we thought we wanted more kids, so we thought it was safer for me to go ahead. And I checked all the boxes. So June of 2022, we transplanted my kidney over to him.
Wow.
So he was able to stop dialysis. Had a new set of worries after that, like your kid's immunosuppressed now,
right? Blah
blah blah. But this is a better life, no dialysis. Had to start taking different drugs and stuff like that. But yeah, no. And then he's always got something. It's always a worry. So, yeah. These days his lungs still give him some issues. We've had a lot of string of infections. We think we're in a good place right now, so we're hoping that he'll outgrow the issues we've had as of late. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's an anomaly. We always say he's a medical anomaly. We don't know why this happened. It's not genetic from what we've seen.
Yeah.
And I've never met another kid that has anything remotely close to the triad of issues that he's had.
How does he deal with it? Is he still?
He's just who he is. I mean, we always talk, like, we just say that's why he is the way he is, because he's so much attitude and so spunky, and it's just that's the way he is.
Imagine being dealt those cards as a,
he
doesn't
know any better. It's like,
doesn't.
he's just like, one day he might be like, why? I don't understand.
Yeah.
This way. So hopefully we prepared him for that. So,
man, I can't imagine what you've been through and what a perspective giver, to have that, to deal with that. I mean, you guys are still having to. Are you still having to go to St. Louis at all, or is it all based here now?
Yeah, St. Louis is still basically our team.
Yeah.
So we have several different doctors.
Will that always be kind of the path?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we probably even once he's an adult switch over to someone down there. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, children's wise, pediatric wise.
Yeah. And okay, well, I'd like to move on then. Not moving on, but shift to. I'd love to talk a little bit about your wife and the role that she plays, holding it all together. We've talked a little bit about it, but I mean, this has got to be your ultimate teammate, and I really have been trying to give a little shine to the partners and the women that are a part of these baseball stories here. So I'd love to hear a little bit if you got anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, just we met when she was a senior in high school at Williamsville. She was a lot of people probably don't realize. Because, I'm in the training world now and I'm the sports guy or whatever, but my wife was a standout 3-sport athlete at Williamsville.
Yeah.
Volleyball, basketball, and soccer. So she played soccer in college at Heartland Community College. But yeah, 3-sport standout. And then we continued to date through college. But yeah, a lot of people probably don't realize because they think of me as the sports guy, but she was a far better athlete than I am.
So yeah.
Anything athletic that happens, as far as our kids go, is probably more.
Really, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And then she's the brains behind everything. She makes everything go here with the business. I mean, any new ideas we have and the charity drive we do, any advances we make in technology, all the flyers you see that promote my camps or promote my school, speed school, that's all pretty much her. So yeah, and obviously, I can't be here spending time unless she's willing to take on more of a sacrifice. 'Cause
100%.
I think what a lot of people here don't realize in the gym, like my clientele, like I'm already gone for 24 hours every third day.
Yeah.
So my kids are completely on her plate. Everything at home, kids are completely on her plate for 24 hours.
Superwoman.
And then I'm gone again.
Yeah, a lot on her plate.
Like most guys go to the firehouse, come home, and then they're home for 2 days straight. Doing a lot of the kids stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to get as much done as I can throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like errands, honey-do list.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Try to get as much as I can done before I go to the gym. So
safe to say you could not manage all of this without her.
Right. No.
Yeah. Beautiful. You guys lean on each other pretty hard when things have been tough with Ty and stuff like that?
It's just not it, and sometimes one of us may be the stronger one.
Right. Is that flip-flop back and forth?
Alternate roles, because it's just not possible for one of us to take on that emotional toll by ourselves.
All right, buddy, we're at the end here. Yeah, will we go about 4 hours here?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I thought we had 4 hours in us, and I even cut some questions. I cut a few. Some of them got answered. This has been incredible. I love talking training. I love hearing kind of where where did the Jared Washko story start? How did you get here? That's interesting to me. I'd love to hear, the last question, where is Washko Strength and Speed headed?
Yeah, I think hopefully partnered with, a brand new business here, hand in hand with what we're doing with baseball training, softball training, even football and soccer. I mean, skill work, a lot of that stuff is stuff we've thought about. So combining the skill work side with the having coaches that coach the skill work along with the strength stuff. I envision that being a huge next step. And then possibly, in 5 years, I'd like to think we have some kind of remote option.
That'd be cool.
So, some kind of selling programs, remotely, having some kind of retail, digital retail where we can create that revenue stream with just selling our programs. I envision that as a huge next step. I don't think my social media will ever be what some guys turn it into be.
Never know.
But we could still possibly have some kind of remote presence. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't see any massive changes unless we're forced to leave a building. But
Yeah.
hopefully we're in this building and continue to grow.
I love that. How about to take us out? We have our boy Kyle Welch, Krock. Do you call him Krock?
I don't.
I might be the only one that still does. I can't not call him. It's in my phone as Krock. I know he's like a professional adult, but I knew him as Krock back in the day. All right.
Get forgetting the radio business.
Right? All right. Kyle Welch, Krock. We got 2 clips here. That'll take us out on Jared.
Yeah, Jared's the best in the business. There's no doubt about that. All you got to do is look at his track record of all the athletes that he works with and he's taken to the next level. Been fortunate enough to know Jared for a while. Our wives have been best friends our whole lives. So obviously Jared and I bonded over baseball and everything related. I've always sent my clients his way, all the athletes that hit with me, that pitch with me, anything like that. And, he sent me his clients as well. So it's been a really good relationship. So when I brought the club here, he was my first phone call. The importance of strength training, and especially in baseball nowadays, it's huge. So been able to watch him help kids get to the next level and transform their bodies and just really turn into athletes. There's a huge difference when lifting and strength training. And that's what we kind of incorporated, me on the baseball side, him on the strength training side. And I think working together, it was like the perfect example. I can kind of list off a number of athletes. Obviously, you got the Ben Hartles, Sam Antonacci's, the Mitch Dyes that I've watched him, work with. There's a full list. Me personally, I've watched a kid like Max Green out of Taylorville, who's, going to be one of the top baseball players in the area, especially in his class. And he's put on, over 20 pounds of muscle, and he's been able to translate that. He's been able to translate those changes, and I've watched Max be able to translate those changes in the gym into his baseball swing and into catching and everything else. So, personally as well, I mean, my niece and nephew, they were, one of the first ones in the Williamsville area to kind of get in there, and it's awesome. You go in there now, you see all these athletes from there. My niece Nora plays volleyball, softball, and I just watch how he's helped transform her. My nephew, Liam Dodsworth out of Williamsville, he's a big football player, wrestler. He's just a monster now, and I know he credits a lot of it to Jared too. He's just so good at getting the potential and the most out of all these kids. So it's been really fun to watch him grow his business. It's been really fun to watch him grow his business and his clientele. It's a great relationship that we have outside.
Okay, and then here we go, Krock, the ending.
And outside of a trainer, he's just a great human being, and I'm sure everyone that you've interviewed has spoke to that. Seeing what him and Sammy went through and go through with Ty, as a parent, it just breaks your heart. But, put your head down and they persevere and they go at it, and it's just a testament to the character. Just a great human being, and that's who you want training your kids. That's who you want to go in business with. That's why he was my first phone call, to train athletes and stuff. So, as a coach, I always say the biggest compliment you can get is the relationship you have with your athletes. If you look at, the fridge, you get invited to, as a coach, I always say, as a coach, I always say the biggest compliment you can get is the relationship that you build with these guys, getting invited to the high school graduations, college graduations, things like that. And, Jared has that bond with a ton of his athletes, and that's what's so special to see. Yeah.
We're going to end it there. Any words by Krock? You got anything there?
No, he's the best, man. He's such a good hitting coach, such a good student of the game.
Yeah.
And, I think one of those guys, like I pride myself on, like being a better coach than we were player.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
Me and him are both on the same belief there that, like, we want to be twice the coach that we ever were player. So he pours a lot into those kids and sends them my way. So I'm forever appreciative of that. And, I try to send as many his way as I can. But, yeah, he's great. And he's going to be a big part of the future here, I think people will see. So hopefully we can continuing. We have a great personal relationship outside, like you said.
Yeah.
We'll do couples dinners and our kids.
He's a special guy.
Yeah, kids will be friends. So yeah, definitely a good relationship we have.
Well, Jared, we're at the end, buddy. How was it? Not too bad?
That was awesome.
Right?
4 hours flew by.
I know, man. It's so funny because when I came in here too, I always get these nerves. Like the night before, I always feel like it's a game almost the next day, and I'm like, usually have a hard time sleeping. And I'm just like thinking of what I want to say, and I could tell you were maybe feeling a little nervous too before we started.
Definitely nervous,
right?
For sure.
Breathing a little heavy before we started.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, let me calm down before we start. It's like moving around. Is this camera angle?
Yeah, well, man, this has been incredible. I really wanted to shine a light on the strength and conditioning guy in the community and a platform, and I hope this gets you. I mean, your name's already out there. I don't need to help you get your name out there, but I thought it would be really cool to get a little more of an idea of where you started, where you're at, where you're going, how you see things. I thought it was incredible. If you're not going to Jared and you're a local high school athlete, I don't know what you're doing. Like, let's go. The best guys in the community are going to him, the pros, the college men and women. So get under the umbrella, like I've said. I know I've said it a million times, but I really appreciate you giving me some of your time. I think this has been really cool. Do you have anything you want to leave us with? Otherwise, I'll take us out.
Man, just thanks for letting me do this, tell my story, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. And I think we've been talking about how to progress this whole podcast thing. I'm super excited for you. So
yeah,
I'm gonna stay on board and continue to watch this thing grow. So
I appreciate you. And this was actually the first time we're sitting here. We've got dueling cameras. We're looking at each other. Jared suggested that I start doing some video. A million people have suggested this, but I finally was like, I got to start doing it. I know this is kind of the next progression, putting things into clips and stuff, so I appreciate the advice. I hope this turns out well. I might have to send it to someone to figure this out, but this has been awesome, dude. I really appreciate your time, and you ready to go?
Yeah, man.
All right, post-game spread, we're out of here. This was the Jared Washko story. He went to Jared. Boom.